Part 22. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 211. Chapter 211 Mercenaries in Baiwan Business Building. Chu Hanyan suspects that the Qinbei power station exploded, and the power outage affected a large area. Most of the residential and corporate electricity in the western part of the city basically comes from Qinbei power station. Stand. Now the only remaining Qinbei power station in the western region exploded. Under the night, the western area of the Magic City instantly darkened. Darkness enveloped an area of dozens of kilometers in radius, and buildings were swallowed up by darkness. 6 kilometers east of Qinbei power station, Baiwan Business Building. The sudden power outage also affected this area. Thousands of people in the huge business building stood beside the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring blankly at the distant horizon, which was the direction of the Qinbei power station explosion. The explosion at Qinbei power station was so violent and the sound was so terrifying that it could be heard clearly nearly 20 kilometers away, let alone the Baiwan Business Building, which was only 6 kilometers away. The sudden power outage and explosion made almost everyone realize one thing clearly. The power station exploded. The survivors who can be rescued to Baiwan Business Building basically live not far away and cannot fully understand the situation nearby. However, most of the Qinbei power station is such a conspicuous location, let alone bus stop. The explosion of the Qinbei power station made everyone understand that the era of no electricity is coming soon. It is the end of the world. If the power station explodes, who will repair it? If no one practices it, it means that from now on, wanting to use electricity in the future is just wishful thinking. Without electricity, it would be more dangerous and terrifying at night. People have an instinctive fear of darkness, especially the current doomsday. Darkness represents the unknown, invisible to the eyes, and no one knows what is in the darkness. The impact of the power outage is huge. When the natural gas is cut off, what will you use to cook? Before the power outage, most of them had appliances such as induction cookers. Now that the power is out, it will be difficult to eat hot food in the future. Unless you are making a fire, you will only be able to eat some fast foods such as bread, hot pot, and instant noodles. Thousands of people looked in the direction of Qinbei power plant from a few kilometers away. The fire there had disappeared, but no one was happy. The current doomsday is too dangerous. The appearance of zombie animals has made everyone panic. Just yesterday, a zombie cat ran in from nowhere and bit 2 people without everyone paying attention. The claws scratched 3 people. Zombie cats are covered in zombie viruses, including their teeth, saliva, and claws. No antibodies to the zombie virus have appeared so far. Although the zombie cats escaped after being driven away by everyone, the 5 people who were scratched and bitten remained uncontrollable corpses. Changed. In the end, the 5 transformed zombies were killed by pistols, but the appearance of the zombie cat was like a dark cloud hanging over everyone's mind. The house leaked and it rained all night, the Qinbei power station exploded, and the era of no electricity came. This made the already extremely dangerous doomsday even more terrifying, and the safety of living people was further threatened. Night is when zombies and zombie animals are highly active. It was at night last night that we were attacked by a zombie cat. If the death of 5 people could kill the zombie cat, it would be acceptable, but the fatal thing is that it was a zombie. The cat ran away. Cats are very vengeful. Although it is not clear whether they still hold grudges after becoming a zombie, everyone is sure that the zombie cat will definitely come back. In order to prevent more people from being infected, everyone stopped all activities at night and returned to their rooms honestly. No one wanted to die. Since they couldn't catch the zombie cat, they hid in the room with the door. If you block it, there's no way the zombie cat can come in, right? Hundreds of policemen in the Baiwan Business Building were also preparing on each floor with pistols. As long as the zombie cat appeared, they would kill it as soon as possible. But a sudden power outage disrupted all plans. On the third floor of Baiwan Business Building, more than a dozen men wearing police uniforms and holding explosion-proof shields were standing in the corridor. The sudden power outage made more than a dozen people panic for a moment, and then they took out the weapons they had prepared. Flashlight. The dark corridor was illuminated by beams of light, the darkness was dispelled, and more than a dozen people in the corridor breathed a sigh of relief. There were two men in police uniforms standing next to the floor-to-ceiling windows. The location where their eyes were looking was also Chinbei Power Station. Brother Jean, the Chinbei Power Station exploded, what should we do next? With thousands of rice noodles, if we only eat bread and instant noodles, we probably won't be able to survive for long. The man speaking is the man on the left. The man is thin and muscular, and his eyes under the brim of his hat flash a cold light from time to time. The man speaking is Wu Yan, a native of the Eastern Empire, and an international mercenary before the end of the world. Standing next to him they are called Wu Zhan. They are two brothers. Wu Zhan is 2 years older. The mercenary group established by the two brothers has made a reputation in the world. Before the apocalypse broke out, the two brothers happened to finish a job and planned to lead the brothers in the Magic City. After 2 days of fun, it happened to coincide with the outbreak of the apocalypse. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, Wu Zhan looked calm and didn't seem to take Wu Yan's worries to heart. "Ian, what do you think we should do?" Wu Yan was silent for a moment, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Brother Jean, my idea is to kill all those worms that only know how to eat, and bring the useful ones into our team, and kill all the waste, or treat them as a bait. Only women are left, and the food portion is strictly controlled, as long as they don't starve to death." Wu Yan has long been dissatisfied with those moths. He doesn't do anything all day long. He just knows that he either hates this or that. If his eldest brother Wu Zhan hadn't had the ambition to fight for hegemony and wanted to establish a new order, he would have killed all those useless men. As for women, in Wu Yan's heart, women are used to excrete the negative emotions accumulated in the body. As international mercenaries, Wu Yan often performs missions with Wu Zhan. They have many tasks: old people, children, as long as they are required by the task, no matter how pitiful they are, there is only one word: kill. If you kill, you will get money. Only by killing can you complete the task. They are mercenaries, working for money. As long as you give money, merely they all dare to assassinate President Jian. If things go on like this, a lot of negative emotions will accumulate in the heart. If you don't find a way to sort them out, your body will have problems. And women are the best outlet. No negative emotions can be vented in a fierce battle. If there are, it must be because there are not enough women. Long-term experience has made Wu Yan's heart as cold as iron. He only has eyes for Wu Zhan, and he only obeys Wu Zhan, his brother. For him, besides Wu Zhan, everyone is a tool in his heart, but they have different uses. Wu Zhan sighed, closed his sour eyes, and whispered, "If we do this, the results of our hard work for a month will be in vain." Wu Yan was silent. A month ago, Wu Zhan led him and others in the team to sneak attack on the police station, killing the few policemen who were left behind. After changing their clothes and weapons, they transformed from mercenaries to mercenaries. Police. Wu Zhan had a plan, and the plan was progressing smoothly. With this layer of skin, they quickly gathered thousands of survivors in the following month, including both men and women. They expanded very quickly. The radiation area is very wide. And because they are mercenaries, they are strong and agile, and they are fierce in their attacks. They are not afraid of zombies at all. A safe zone has even been cleared around the Baiwan Business Building, all the way to the Hualien large chain store 2 kilometers away. Supermarket, killing tens of thousands of zombies. With the support of Hualien large supermarket chain, the food problem was solved. The two brothers were ambitious and wanted to build a Doomsday kingdom. However, before the plan could start, the emergence of zombie cats forced them to stop. Pause. Before the zombie cats are solved, the Chinbei power station exploded again. This made the already serious situation even worse. Brother, we are mercenaries, not police. This layer of skin constrains us. We can wait until we stabilize before making changes. Otherwise, these survivors will drag us down. Why doesn't Wu Zhan know what Wu Yan said? After the power outage, the rice and noodles in the supermarket become just decorations. Without fire and electricity, the rice and noodles can't fill his stomach. If it's a rural area, it's fine. At worst, it's hard to make a fire for cooking. But this is a city, which is not realistic at all. Wu Zhan felt very regretful and helpless. He had a heroic heart, and he wanted to become a master after having been at the bottom for a long time, but unfortunately the situation did not allow it. A month of hard work went into effect running water. He felt indescribably disappointed. Wu Yan's method is indeed the best choice at the moment, and it is also the approach of almost everyone, but this method can be rampant for a while at best and will not last long. A real force needs order to be normal. With the development of society, even in a slave society, there are civilian women. Treating women as a means of venting is not a long-term solution. I'll do as you say, but it won't work until daytime tomorrow, not tonight. Wu Yan was overjoyed. Wu Zhan let go and everything will be much easier. Wu Yan understood why he had to wait until daytime tomorrow. It is too dangerous at night, and troubles can easily occur. In addition, there are still people who don't know whether they will appear. Zombie cats, if anything goes wrong, a large-scale infection may occur in the chaos. Then this place will no longer be a safe zone, but a zombie den. He has no intention of ruining the territory he finally won. In one night, he is not in a hurry at all. Brother, I understand what you mean. I will not mess around. Since there is a power outage tonight, let's cancel the plan. Anyway, those people have locked the door and dare not come out. Even if the zombie cat comes in, it will not cause any harm. Well, let the brothers go back first, recharge their batteries tonight, and prepare for action tomorrow. Wu Zhan took off the hat on his head, glanced down, threw it away, and the hat flew out of the window. Looking at the movements in Wu Zhan's hands, Wu Yan immediately threw away the police hat. With a relaxed look on his face, there was also a hint of cold smile in the corner of the eye. In a room on the 16th floor, 7 or 8 girls gathered together. The dark room was illuminated by the flashlight that came with the mobile phone. The darkness was dispelled, and the faces of the girls. The fear has subsided a little, but it has not disappeared. Obviously, the fear caused by the power outage cannot be dispelled by simple flashlight lighting. The girls are not just sitting or huddled together, they are all busy. Some are sitting on chairs, and some were holding cloth strips tied to their mobile phones, and some were holding onto the chairs on the table to ensure the safety of the girls standing on them. Others were standing around, with open arms seemingly ready to catch them at any time. The companion who accidentally fell down. However, the girl on the chair stood very steadily. After taking the mobile phone handed over by the girl below, Chu Hanyan tied the cloth strip on it to the lamp. After making sure that it would not fall, get down from the chair with confidence. The light of the mobile phone flashlight is not very bright, but it is enough to illuminate most places in the room. This is the best way to illuminate when there is no light. It's finally done. The power station exploded. What will we do next? Seeing Chu Hanyan come down, a girl with a round face next to him sighed helplessly. After hearing the round-faced girl's words, the atmosphere in the room became a little quiet. At this time, a lively girl spoke up and comforted, "Don't worry. Okay, it's okay. I think Officer Wu and the others will definitely come up with a good idea." The girl's words seemed to have some effect. The faces of the girls around her looked much better. Chu Hanyan, who had just come down, recalled the appearance of Wu Yan, Wu Zhan, and the policeman. He always felt that something was wrong. It couldn't be said that something was wrong. It just feels like those people don't look like police officers. She has seen a lot of police officers. After all, her father is the chief of the Shanghai police headquarters, and the ones she sees the most are police officers. Those people doesn't look like the police at all. More like some tough gangsters. Chu Hanyan glanced at the female students around him, but Chu Hanyan did not express his suspicions. I hope it's my imagination. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 212. Chapter 212 The Hidden Woman. Chu Hanyan was shocked. Chu Hanyan and the surrounding female students came to Baiwan Business Building a week ago. A week ago, the two brothers Wu Zhan led people to Fudan Fenglan campus and arrested them all in the name of police. Rescued. At the beginning, Chu Hanyan didn't care. After she settled down in Baiwan Business Building, Chu Hanyan also asked about her father's news. But to Chu Hanyan's surprise, the two brothers turned out to be completely different. Don't know about her father, not even his name. This situation is very wrong. As a police officer, you should know the name of the chief of the Shanghai Police Department, right? But these two people, a director and a deputy director, were unfamiliar with her father's name, which was a bit wrong. Chu Hanyan asked tactfully, but the result she got was far beyond her expectation. After she became wary, she kept observing the two brothers Wu Yan and Wu Zhan, and then she discovered that the two brothers he seems to have nothing to do with the police. Police officers are generally dignified and serious, at least they appear that way. Although the two brothers look dignified and serious, they feel completely different. If I have to say it, they both have a vicious aura about them. Which police officer has a vicious aura about him? Not only the two brothers, but the police officers were also very strange, especially the look in their eyes, which was not like what the police would have at all. This kind of behavior was especially strong when other survivors expressed their dissatisfaction. Chu Hanyan even saw the policemen pulling out their guns several times. What could they do with their guns? Would the police do this? The police have strict requirements, and guns cannot be taken out casually, especially if the other party has not committed a crime. Chu Hanyan was very panicked. She always felt that Baiwan Business Building was a scam. It was possible that people like Wu Zhan were not police officers at all, but wolves in sheep's clothing, always surrounding little sheep like them. Waiting for an opportunity, he took off the sheepskin on his body and ate them all fiercely. The power plant exploded and the era of no electricity came, which made her feel more and more panicked. Her uneasiness became more and more intense, and she even looked at the door frequently. She always had the feeling that Wu Zhan and those people were standing at the door, ready at any time. The feeling of breaking in. Hanyan, what are you looking at? Don't worry, the door is locked. Even if there is a zombie cat, there is no chance of running in unless it can become as thin as a piece of paper. Just when Chu Hanyan was staring at the door warily, the girl with a lively tone came over. Chu Hanyan turned around and looked at the girl walking over, with a forced smile on her face. Well, I understand, Han Jing, you should go to bed early too. Han Jing nodded slightly, glanced at the girls not far away who were about to take off their clothes and go to bed, and lowered her voice and said, Did you find something? About those police officers? Chu Hanyan was startled and looked at Han Jing in amazement. Looking at the calm look on her face, Chu Hanyan was a little unsure of what she meant. You also saw that something was wrong with those police officers, right? Those people may not be police at all, we should be in the wolf's den now. Chu Hanyan was confused. What did Han Jing mean by this? That's not what she said just now. She just comforted other girls, saying that Wu Zhan and the others would find a way. Why did her style suddenly change now? What do you mean? Han Jing looked calm, glanced at the girls over there who were getting ready to go to bed, and said softly, I know what you want to ask, why did I just say that to them, right? Chu Hanyan nodded calmly. She really didn't understand and couldn't figure out what medicine Han Jing was selling in the gourd. What you discovered, I also discovered. People like Wu Zhan are indeed not like police, but more like gangsters. From their words, deeds, and eye expressions, these people don't look like police officers at all. But can you say these things to them? Do you think they will believe it? If one of them has a bad brain and goes to Wu Zhan and others to ask questions, what do you think we will face? Chu Hanyan took a deep breath and solemnly said, death. Yes, our only fate is death. No matter what method we use, we will definitely disappear from the world. Then why did you say that to me? Aren't you afraid that I'll be crazy too? Chu Hanyan looked at Han Jing curiously. The calm face of the girl in front of her made her feel scared. Why tell you? Han Jing glanced at Chu Hanyan and saw the confusion and fear in her eyes. You don't have to be afraid. Your eyes and behavior let me know that you are suspicious of Wu Zhan and those people. I can see every move you make. In my eyes, I know everything, including when you asked Wu Zhan and others about your father. Chu Hanyan was frightened. She didn't even know that someone was paying attention to her in the dark. The key was that she didn't notice it. What does this woman do? Why do you look like an old witch? Could it be that this layer of skin is also fake? Seeing Chu Hanyan's frightened eyes, Han Jing looked calmly, don't look at me like that. I know your identity, Chu Hanyan, the daughter of Chu Tianxiang, the chief of the Shanghai Police Bureau. I accepted the employment. I was originally going to kidnap you to blackmail your father, but zombies broke out, and you will know the rest. Order has collapsed, you don't know if your employer is dead or not, and money has become useless. There is no enmity between you and me, and there is no need for me to deal with you anymore. Do you understand now? Everyone who heard Chu Hanyan was stunned. If Chen Jing hadn't told her, she wouldn't have known that Chen Jing was here to kidnap her. And if the zombie crisis hadn't broken out, this woman would have succeeded. But the problem is, something is wrong. She has seen Chen Jing. She can be sure that Chen Jing is a student at Fenglin campus. She cannot kidnap her while she is in school. Go to school for 3 years first? Are you lying to me? You lurked in school for 3 years to kidnap me. Chu Hanyan couldn't help but question this. She was now a junior, and Chen Jing was also a junior. They were in the same class. Why did they go to such great lengths to kidnap her? Who told you that I am Chen Jing's face? Special makeup techniques, coupled with some specific props, can change the appearance to a certain extent. As she spoke, Chen Jing gently rubbed her chin with her fingers, and something as light and thin as a facial mask, like a human skin mask, was pulled up. Chu Hanyan. What about the real Chen Jing? After asking this question, Chu Hanyan was stunned. Where is the real Chen Jing now? Does it matter anymore? Gently smoothing the face on his chin, Chen Jing glanced at Chu Hanyan, who was in a daze. He said flatly, probably dead. Really? Taking a deep breath, Chu Hanyan looked at the unknown woman in front of him and asked, then what do you mean by telling me this? What do you want to do? It's not what I want to do, but what you want to do. Are you going to wait here to die? I just heard from the bug that Wu Zhan and the others are planning to attack us. Chu Hanyan didn't know what to say. She wasn't sure yet. The woman in front of her knew that Wu Zhan and the others were going to take action. The question was, where did you get the bug? But now is not the time to dwell on this issue. Chu Han's cigarette butt is getting bigger. Is Wu Zhan going to attack them? Sure enough, the explosion at the Chenbei power station was the straw that broke the camel's back. Tomorrow Wu Zhan and the others would have their sheepskins peeled off. But, what can she do now? There were hundreds of Wu Zhan and the others, all of them had guns and were wearing body armor. There was nothing she could do about it, right? She doesn't even have a decent weapon, just a hammer. Looking at Chen Jing with hopeful eyes, Chu Hanyan asked, "You are so calm, there must be something you can do, right? What is your real name?" "Stop, Chen Jing, my name is Awkward. Concubine Hu Yu, as for the method, I really, no." "Very good." The surprise on Chu Hanyan's face instantly froze, and she looked at Concubine Hu Yu with dull eyes. She really wanted to curse. "If you don't, then you don't. What's wrong with breathing heavily when you talk? You." Before Chu Hanyan could say anything, Concubine Hu Yu said softly, "I lied to you." She almost choked herself to death in one breath. Chu Hanyan felt so uncomfortable. This person must be poisonous. "Chen Jing and Han Yan, what are you two muttering over there? Can you sleep or not? Perhaps the two of them have been standing here for too long." Several women who were lying down not far away raised their heads and looked over. Chu Hanyan glared at Concubine Hu Yu bitterly, looking at her raised eyebrows. "Smile, Chu Han is so angry. Goodbye. Whatever you like, go ahead and play by yourself." With a feeling of sullenness, Chu Hanyan walked to the floor in a few steps, took off her clothes and fell asleep. Concubine Hu Yu didn't take it seriously. She walked to Chu Hanyan and lay down next to her, looking at Chu Han, who had his back turned to her. "Smoke, lean on it gently, go. Don't be angry, do you still want to escape?" Chu Hanyan rolled her eyes, turned around and faced Concubine Hu Yu, gritted her silver teeth, and whispered, "What exactly do you want to say?" "Of course I want to take you out with me." "Are you serious?" "Certainly." Looking at Concubine Hu Yu's determined look, Chu Hanyan asked, "What are you going to do?" "They will definitely fight each other tomorrow morning. We have no chance. They have hundreds of guns, how can we fight them? Since there is no chance in the morning, why can't we leave at night?" "Night," almost exclaimed, Chu Hanyan quickly lowered his voice and looked at Concubine Hu Yu with eyes full of disbelief, as if she was looking at a madman. "Are you kidding me? Although there are no zombies outside the Baiwan business building, don't forget the zombie cat. If we run into a zombie cat, wouldn't it be hopeless?" Concubine Hu Yu took Chu Hanyan's hand and slowly put it inside her hot pants. Chu Hanyan's eyes widened. "You, where did you get the gun? What is this long one? A dagger? Is there a treasure bag inside of yours?" Concubine Hu Yu rolled her eyes, ignored Chu Hanyan, and whispered, "To escape now, we only have to face zombie cats. In the morning, we will face hundreds of guns. Which one do you think the success rate of these two is, higher? What's more, we may not encounter zombie cats." Through the bug, I heard Wu Zhan saying that everyone should go to rest. This is a good opportunity for us. If we don't leave now, we will wait until tomorrow as a tool to vent. Chu Hanyan made Ling Ling shiver, and her eyes quickly became firm. She was more willing to take a gamble than she had in the morning. She still didn't believe it. She was so unlucky that she really encountered a zombie cat. Then let's go now. With that said, Chu Hanyan was about to start cooking. Concubine Hu Yu quickly held her down and looked at her confused eyes. Concubine Hu Yu glanced at her side twice. "Wait until they fall asleep." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 213. Chapter 213. I'm so angry. The women are all sour. City of Judgment, second floor of the supermarket. Looking at these high-end abilities in the System Mall, to be honest, he is really spoiled for choice now. The ability to time is very cool, whether it is reversing time, accelerating time, stopping time, or going back to the past. The ability to time is heavily featured in any novel, movie, or anime. It is simply a bug-like ability. But isn't Destiny awesome? No, the powers of Destiny are also awesome, including the power of speech, fantasy manifestation, and destruction, all of which are awesome. There is also the ability to create. Good guy, this looks very high. Creation, this is directly creating things. Lin Fan even thinks that if the ability to create is raised to full, he can directly create new races. When the time comes, grab a handful of mud, sprinkle some water on it, squeeze it, and inject creative power into it. Will this be a living life? Male version of Nuwa? This is a bit confusing. A power worth 100,000 points. After purchasing it, you cannot purchase other high-level powers for at least a short period of time. This is worth thinking about for Lin Fan. It is not a matter of points or not. The problem is, time. Lin Fan has now made a new discovery, that is, no matter whether low-level powers or high-level powers, when they really reach perfection, they start from LV7, such as the magnetic field power. Lin Fan is now LV7, he can affect the entire City of Judgment. With the magnetic field, even if a nuclear bomb hits, Lin Fan can guarantee that the City of Judgment will be fine. Thunder and lightning powers, the ability to initially control celestial phenomena after advancing to LV7, and space powers. It is also from LV7 that one can establish a space portal and use mirror space, which is a bug ability that can be called a domain. The mirror space is equivalent to Lin Fan himself opening up a dimensional world in the main world. In this space, Lin Fan is so powerful that it is terrifying. The enemy could only be played by him, and even threw in a nuclear bomb. Lin Fan could make these missiles fly until they ran out of fuel and could no longer fly or detonate. The low-level abilities were okay. Lin Fan did some calculations and found out that to be promoted to LV7, the low-level abilities required killing 16,660 zombies, which was not too much. The low-level abilities could be exchanged at will, but the high-level abilities required add a 0 after the number. The number of zombies that need to be killed has increased tenfold, close to 170,000 zombies. If there were not 80,000 zombies in the Magic City Stadium, it would take at least a day or two for Lin Fan's space power to be promoted to level 7. It is difficult for any power to start from a low level. The higher the level, the faster it is to kill zombies. To be on the safe side, the destruction power is the most suitable for redemption. It is simple and crude to kill, but Lin Fan does not lack destructive and powerful ones now. Superpowers and even destructive power have long been exceeded. If it weren't for the desire to destroy the buildings that took decades or hundreds of years to build in the Demon City, the more than 20 million zombies would have been wiped out long ago. Of course, the same would be true for the survivors. Time, creation, fantasy manifestation, destiny, speaking spirit, dreams, looking at all these powers, Lin Fan almost went bald. Which one would he choose? After thinking about it, Lin Fan suddenly thought of something. How did this zombie virus break out? He doesn't know this at all. Anyway, as soon as he closes his eyes and opens them, it will be 1 month after the end of the world when he wakes up. If there is no system, he will starve to death, not to mention whether he will die of cancer. System, exchange the time ability for me. Lin Fan has decided that he will redeem his time powers and then go back to more than a month ago to see what happened that caused the zombie virus to break out. It was an instantaneous global outbreak and there was no chance of stopping it. Ding. Deduct 100,000 points and now start to integrate time abilities. As the system's voice fell, Lin Fan's points instantly evaporated by 100,000. At the same time, a powerful force of time spread within Lin Fan's body. The power of time was running within Lin Fan's body, and finally within his body. The mark of time was imprinted, and then he slowly returned to calm. Slowly opening his eyes, feeling the new power of time in his body, Lin Fan put his mind back and looked at Su, who was as well behaved as a large Barbie doll in his arms. Xiao Luo lowered his head and kissed her on the cheek. "It's getting late, let's go to bed." After saying that, Lin Fan carried Su Xiao Luo towards the master bedroom. Lin Yu and the others also stood up one after another. In the end, only Yerulan was left sitting alone on the sofa in the living room. Just now, Yerulan had been looking at Zhang Kaiyu with envy. None of them would not want to get the power given by Lin Fan. Zhang Kaiyu and the others had waited for a long time, and finally waited for this day. She didn't know when it would be her turn. Now seeing Lin Fan bring as Lin Yu and the others entered the master bedroom, Yerulan became even more envious. The next step must be the war of the century. Yerulan, come on. You can definitely do it. Before long, there will be a place for you there too. This day is definitely not too far away. To cheer herself up, Yerulan got up from the sofa and walked to her room. She had already walked ahead of most of the women and moved to the second floor of the supermarket first. First come first served by the water and the terrace, the group of goblins in the dormitory were there. Eat ashes behind her. Not to mention the supermarket, the female warriors' dormitory was particularly uneasy tonight. The reason was simple, because Yerulan moved to the second floor of the supermarket before them. This was a historic step. I'm still looking around here, people have already moved in, maybe they can return. So annoying. Why don't I have such good luck? If it was me who was on duty in the hospital today, whoever moved to the second floor of the supermarket would not have Yerulan's turn. Ah. In the dormitory, Lu Yuer was going crazy to the extreme. After killing zombies all day outside, her strength had improved a bit. She was very happy at first, but as soon as she came back, she heard the female warriors talking about Yerulan's good performance. Exceptionally allowed to live on the second floor of the supermarket. Lu Yuer almost vomited after hearing this. All her good mood collapsed instantly. Especially after understanding the process, Lu Yuer almost hit her head against the wall. She had only one thought. This what the hell will work? This will work? What kind of bullshit luck is this? Looking at Lu Yuer who was walking around anxiously in the dormitory, Qin Shiu and Han Jing'ai were both helpless. When they first heard the news, their hearts were shattered, and their first thought was, why did this good thing not happen to them? But their reaction was not as big as Lu Yuer's. They were upset for a night and almost got over it. How could they be like Lu Yuer? Until now, they wanted to hit a wall. Speaking of which, the three of them were really unlucky. When they first met Lin Fan, they were desperate, but in the end, Lin Fan didn't care about them at all, and he didn't accept their tricks at all, and he ended up ruining himself. To be honest, Lu Yuer felt very uncomfortable. The three of them were brought back together with Zhang Kaiyu, Li Yun, and Yu Yiren. What happened? Li Yun and the others were picked away on the first day, but they were the ones who were picked away. Three of them were left here like orphans, and they didn't know when they would be able to touch the edge of the supermarket. If everyone was the same, then forget it, but what happened to Yerulan? He came later than them, but ended up being worse than them. It was too early for them to go in, which was unacceptable to them. They were not as good as those at the same time, not even as good as those who came later. Lu Yuer was very high-spirited. How could she accept it? Looking at Lu Yuer circling back and forth, Qin Shiu sighed. Take a breath. Yuer, don't be angry. It's useless for you to be angry. Also, if you see Yerulan, don't conflict with her. Although her status has not changed, she is still a person on the second floor. From now on, sooner or later, it will fly up the branches and become a phoenix. If we give you little shoes to wear, we won't be able to help you. Yes, now that we have reached the second floor, becoming the mistress is basically a certainty. That woman Yerulan is not a simple thing, so don't be stupid. Han Jing-I also helped. The two of them knew Lu Yuer's temper. If they didn't persuade her, they might have a fight with Yerulan. Lu Yuer gritted her teeth in anger and turned to look at the two women angrily. He said angrily, of course I know that Yerulan is not a simple person. She is the first one who dares to use her beautiful figure to get fucked by a porcelain master. But she succeeded because she was a female fox. I'm so angry. But what you said, I also know in my heart that I will not fight with Yerulan. They are steel plates and I am eggs. Why don't I want to fight? I had a brain twitch and I wanted to fight with her. I was just unhappy. Lu Yuer became more and more angry as she talked. It was already 11 o'clock in the evening. The girls had already taken a bath and it was almost time to go to bed. They were all wearing relatively thin pajamas. It was better not to wear thin pajamas. Wearing it, anyway, you can see everything that should be seen and shouldn't be seen, but this feeling is even more tempting than not wearing it. Now Lu Yuer is stamping her feet angrily, and the pajamas on her body can no longer be held. Seeing that the things that shouldn't be exposed are about to jump out, Han Jing-I quickly covered her eyes. Okay, stop jumping. I know you are older and I have them myself. I don't need to look at you. Take it back quickly, the eyes will be contaminated. Lu Yuer was so angry that she didn't care about Yerulan anymore. She screamed and threw herself on Han Jing-I like an evil ghost. Qin Shiu escaped by chance. Looking at the two screaming people, it was just a decoration. The same pajamas, even more messy, without any covering effect. Helplessly slapping her forehead, Qin Shiu had a look of despair. What a sin have I committed, living with two women like these. The room not far away from the three girls, Jasmine and Zhou Ziyuan's room, was not quiet at this time, but compared to the noisiness of Lu Yuer and the three girls, Jasmine and Zhou Ziyuan behaved much better. Jasmine sat cross-legged beside the bed, he carefully wiped the tang dao in his hand with a towel, and looked at Zhou Ziyuan from time to time. Sister Yan, Rulan has gone to the second floor. Zhou Ziyuan was flipping through the book quietly. When she heard Jasmine's words, she hummed. Her expression was very calm, but her heart was not as calm as she showed. She didn't even know what she was reading. As her good best friend, Zhao Wanqing didn't. Zhou Ziyuan has always been embarrassed to give her less pillow talk and let her show more performance in front of Lin Fan, so that good best friends can join forces to fight together. Strong people can always attract more attention from the opposite sex, especially this strong person. In when everything was perfect, Zhou Ziyuan couldn't help but feel a little tempted. The reason why she escaped from the Zhou family was because she was dissatisfied with her family's marriage, so she wasted 10 years on it and only had a few hundred yuan. After working hard to be worth billions, Zhou Ziyuan had very high demands for her partner, but until she met Lin Fan, she found that her so-called high demands were not worth mentioning to Lin Fan. Yes, they were not worth mentioning. Mention. Lin Fan is tall, has an extraordinary appearance, and is full of masculinity. Especially as his strength increases, his temperament becomes more and more difficult to take away. Even when standing in a crowd, he looks like the sun exuding dazzling light. His existence was like a black hole, attracting everyone's attention. Zhao Wanqing always asked her to take the initiative. Zhou Ziyuan was a little reluctant at first and did not dare to take the initiative to do anything, but later she discovered, it's completely unnecessary, because she rarely gets close to Lin Fan. How can she take the initiative like this? No one can touch her, so how can she take the initiative? Wiping the tang dao in her hand, Jasmine helplessly shook her head. Sister Yan, I took the book upside down. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 214. Chapter 214. Jasmine is not miserable. Jo Xiaoyan and old Joe are skinned. The book is held upside down. Hold it upside down. Inverted. Got it? Jo Xiaoyan's mind was filled with these words now. Looking down at the book in front of her, Jo Xiaoyan's face instantly became embarrassed. It's really the wrong way to hold it? It's so embarrassing. Jo Xiaoyan's face turned green. She had been flipping through the book she had picked up since dinner, and she had been reading it backwards for a long time. The key is that Jasmine also saw them all, which was heartbreaking. The defense is broken. Jo Xiaoyan didn't even dare to think how long Jasmine had been holding back her laughter that night. She now wanted to crawl under the quilt. Poof. Looking at Jo Xiaoyan's face that instantly turned red, Jasmine didn't hold back or go through any procedures. She just laughed out loud. Good guy, after waiting all night, this feeling is so good. Hearing Jasmine's undisguised laughter, Jo Xiaoyan became even more furious. She glared at Jasmine fiercely with her phoenix eyes, raised the book in her hand and threw it towards her with all her strength. Smile, laugh. What are you laughing? I'm training my brain's reaction ability, you know what the heck. With Jo Xiaoyan's current strength, the speed of the book thrown out with all her strength is as fast as a bullet, and the destructive power is also terrifying. An afterimage is pulled out in the air, and a faint whistling sound can even be heard. Jasmine raised her head. She caught the flying book with her hand, and the smile on her face did not diminish at all. She even patted her white and tender crotch twice excessively to express her current level of joy. Ha 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 ha. Sister Yan, are you going to laugh me to death and inherit my watch? I tell you, it's impossible. Seeing Jasmine smiling happily, Jo Xiaoyan's beautiful eyes turned cold, and a trace of evil flashed in her eyes. Since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Turning over and getting ready to compromise, Jo Xiaoyan walked towards Jasmine step by step with a stern face. She was smiling happily. Jasmine was stunned when she took off her clothes. Looking at Jo Xiaoyan's appearance, Jasmine suddenly had an ominous premonition. Sister Yan, don't scare me, what do you want to do? Let me tell you, there are only two of us in the dormitory. If you want to kill someone and silence them, you can't escape. Oh, you are very brave. Jo Xiaoyan walked up to Jasmine step by step with a sneer on her face. Jasmine leaned back with a guilty conscience, completely unable to figure out what Jo Xiaoyan wanted to do. It was too late to say, but soon, Jo Xiaoyan grabbed Jasmine in front of her. Go. Jasmine's eyelids were twitching wildly. Good guy, with this strength and speed, if she was caught, she would be scratched and swollen. If it's not yours, you don't know how distressed you are, right? As Jasmine protected her with both hands at that moment, Jo Xiaoyan's grabbing hand turned in the direction, and under Jasmine's dull eyes, she instantly grabbed two photos from under the pillow. After getting what she wanted, Jo Xiaoyan quickly backed away, looking at the figures in the photos. He sighed, tisk tisk tisk, oh yo, let me see who this is. Isn't this the Supreme Lord of our City of Judgment? Where did this photo come from? Oh, let me think about it. I remember the store sold one for 500 judgment coins, right? You had to kill 50 zombies to buy one, but now you have two. Someone is really rich. Jasmine's face turned green. Looking at the two photos in Jo Xiaoyan's hand, everyone was in a state of confusion. You, give it back to me. Give it back to me. I'll fight with you. Scurrying up, Jasmine rushed towards Jo Xiaoyan like a crazy little wildcat, but Jo Xiaoyan's figure dodged directly. Looking at Jasmine, who jumped into the air, Jo Xiaoyan said with a bad smile, no way. Thinking about it, our Jasmine looks so cold, but she actually has such a hobby behind her back. This is 1000 judgment coins, so rich and powerful. Anyway, give it to me. I'm reluctant to buy it. Come on, tell me the truth. Will you secretly look at our master's photos at night? No. Absolutely not. Stop talking nonsense. How could I do that? Jasmine denied it flatly and stood 5 meters away, waiting for Jo Xiuyan with a bulging face. She always regrets it now. Why did Jo Xiuyan get the handle? Really? I don't believe it. You can steal people's photos, so how can you not do that kind of thing? Jo Xiuyan raised her eyebrows and said earnestly, it's okay, Jasmine, my sister has been around your age. Only men are allowed to post photos and other photos, but women are not allowed. This is obviously unfair. Don't worry, speak up boldly, my sister won't tell others. No, no, no. Jasmine was going crazy. If she believed it, she would be a ghost. She can guarantee that as long as she admits it now, the entire female warrior dormitory will know the next day that she sent text messages to Lin Fan's photo at night. Come on. ACI. This why are people so annoying? Seeing Jasmine jumping up and down with anger, Jo Xiuyan couldn't be happier. I told you to expose me just now, and I told you to laugh. Now it's your turn to cry, right? This is called retribution. It's not about not repaying. The time has not yet come. Jasmine gritted her teeth. For the first time, she felt that Jo Xiuyan was so hateful. This person was too much. Please return the photo to me quickly. Raising her eyebrows, Jo Xiuyan looked at the 2 photos of Lin Fan in her hands, holding one in one hand, and asked Jasmine, excuse me, which one do you want? Or this one, the greedy child doesn't have one. Jasmine? NMP. In this situation, Jasmine doesn't know what Jo Xiuyan is thinking. This is a direct robbery. How can there be such a greedy woman in this world? She spent 500 judgment coins to buy it. Here are the photos. You can get 500 judgment coins by killing 50 zombies. I want the one on the left. Don't mention the grievance in Jasmine's heart. She was tricked into taking a photo out of nowhere. How can she withstand this? Putting the photo on her right hand away with her backhand, Jo Xiuyan walked up to Jasmine with a smile and handed over the photo on her left hand. Don't be greedy, kid, you got your missing photo. Shrimp pig heart. Jasmine snatched the photo, snorted coldly, walked past Jo Xiuyan angrily, and walked directly back to her bed without saying a word. Seeing Jasmine acting like an angry child, Jo Xiuyan chuckled twice, took out the photo, took a look at it, sighed, and returned to the bed. Next door to the 2 of them, Jo Xiuyan and Jo Xiuyan became quiet, and Wang Ziwen, who was standing next to the window, sighed. Shook his head slightly, and looked away from the supermarket, with a look of loneliness and envy in his eyes. Yerulan, from a female warrior, finally entered the core circle of the supermarket with her own efforts. Many people had trouble falling asleep tonight, looking at the supermarket. The eyes over there are all fantasizing. This example made many female warriors have uncontrollable expectations in their hearts, especially those women who thought they were in good condition, and a great desire for the supermarket was ignited in their hearts. The lights on the 2nd floor of the supermarket were not turned off until midnight. At this time, it was quiet and almost everyone was asleep. At 3 o'clock in the morning, in a room on the 16th floor of Baiwan Commercial Building, concubine Hu Yu, who had been keeping her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes. His arm gently touched Chu Hanyan next to him, and Chu Hanyan, who had not fallen asleep, opened his eyes immediately. Listening to the even breathing coming from beside him, Chu Hanyan turned to look at Hu Yu. Concubine Hu Yu's eyes met each other, and both of them saw the meaning expressed in each other's eyes in the darkness. The 2 women quietly got up and walked to the door of the room. Concubine Hu Yu opened the door and listened carefully through the small crack in the door. Then turned to Chu Hanyan and nodded. Walk. Chu Hanyan turned around and glanced at the girls who were still sleeping on the floor, then followed concubine Hu Yu out. It wasn't that she wanted to give up on these classmates, but that she simply didn't have the ability to save them. She couldn't even save herself. If you can't save them, what can you do to save others? In the corridor on the 16th floor, Chu Hanyan and Hu Yufei walked cautiously and cautiously. They were always careful. Firstly, they were afraid of encountering people left behind. Secondly, they were afraid of encountering people left behind. They were afraid of meeting a zombie cat. You can't believe everything heard by the bug. What if one or two people were left behind? Once discovered, they would have no way to escape. As for the zombie cat, it would be even more deadly. This thing small in size, fast and more disgusting than zombies, they are more difficult to deal with. No one wants to die, so the two of them are very cautious. Without electricity, the idea of taking the elevator basically failed, and they can only take the stairs. On the 16th floor, the two of them walked alone. It took half an hour to walk up the stairs. When they reached the second floor, they both breathed a sigh of relief. As long as they went down one more floor, they would be able to escape from the Baiwan business building. By then, the 2-kilometer radius would be a safe zone. They deliberately found a place to hide. If they wanted to hide, it would be extremely difficult for Wu Zhan to find them in such a large area. However, the two of them would not stay here for too long. If Wu Zhan and the others waited, they would sooner or later, they would be caught, so they had to escape and find another safe place. At the stairway of the second floor, concubine Hu Yu and Chu Hanyan were sitting on the stairs. They planned to rest here for a while and replenish their strength. Going down to the 14th floor was very tiring for both of them. If you go out in this state, if you accidentally encounter a wandering zombie cat, you don't know how you died. You must have enough strength. Please be careful and follow me. I will deal with the guys standing guard on the first floor. I have specifically investigated before and know exactly where those people are standing guard. The first floor is the most dangerous place. You must not make any mistakes. Concubine Hu Yu had a solemn look on her face and warned Chu Hanyan seriously. Chu Hanyan knew the seriousness of the matter and nodded, I understand, and I will follow you closely. Concubine Hu Yu took out a silencer from her hot pants, gently screwed it on the muzzle of the gun, and nodded to Chu Hanyan. Looking at Concubine Hu Yu, she took out another black and thick one from her hot pants. Chu Hanyan is dumbfounded. You still say that your place is not a treasure chest? If something goes wrong, don't worry about anything else and just rush out. Do you understand? Otherwise, if you are caught, you will die, or even die more miserably. It is better to rush out directly, which may still have a chance of survival. How about you? Hearing this, concubine Hu Yu sneered, as long as you don't cause trouble for me, it's easy for me to escape. Chu Han smoked the corner of his mouth and said in a low voice, okay, you're the best. Maybe we won't even need to take action. Those people might have been killed. When she heard these words just as she was about to set off, concubine Hu Yu almost fell to the ground. She turned around and glared at Chu Hanyan, warning, you are so jealous. If there is a zombie cat on the first floor, I will just throw you over and run away. Chu Hanyan shrank his head when he heard this, waved his hands and said, I was just kidding. Concubine Hu Yu ignored her and carefully opened the stair door on the first floor. The smell of blood hit her face. Concubine Hu Yu frowned and looked out of the stairs. The scene that caught her eye made concubine Hu Yu's expression change. You fucking crow. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 215. Chapter 215 Crisis in the Dark, Escape from Baiwan Business Building. You fucking crow. Concubine Hu Yu is going to be so angry. Is Chu Hanyan the spy sent by Zombie Cat? She really wants to turn around and tear Chu Han Smoke to pieces. Listening to concubine Hu Yu's curses, Chu Han Yan Deng was stunned for a moment, a little confused, until he heard the harsh meow from the first floor. Chu Hanyan's face changed instantly. No way, no way. He can't be so unlucky. Chu Hanyan is stupid. Yes, it has always been safe from the 16th floor to the first floor. How could something go wrong just at the last moment? This is so unlucky. Is it really so unlucky? Could it be that those men on the first floor are watching cat movies that only macho men watch? Chu Hanyan looked at concubine Hu Yu with a livid face carefully, and asked in a self-deceiving manner. Concubine Hu Yu glared at Chu Hanyan angrily, stepped away from the stairs, and lowered her voice. See for yourself. Chu Hanyan's palms were all sweaty, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He nervously walked to the stairs, quietly opened the door a crack, and looked towards the first floor. The sight that caught his eye shocked Chu Hanyan. So much so that I almost screamed. In the hall on the first floor, there was a bright reflection on the ground. I don't know who sprinkled the water, but Chu Hanyan knew that it was not water. It was blood. On the left side of the hall, there was a drop of water poured on the ground. He was holding a corpse, and the combat flashlight fell next to it. Under the light, only half of the corpse could be seen, as well as the 2 legs and tail of a cat. Dead. The people on the first floor were killed by zombie cats. And it looked like there was no one alive anymore, otherwise, the first floor would never be so quiet. Just when Chu Hanyan wanted to retreat, a short shadow slowly walked over from the hall. Seeing this, Chu Hanyan's heart skipped a beat. It's all going to stop. There's more than one zombie cat? The heart stopped briefly and then beat rapidly. It was at this moment that the slowly walking shadow suddenly stopped. In the corner of the tactical flashlight, the zombie cat's head turned. Come over, the empty dead gray eyes are emitting a strange light, and at the same time, a shrill meow is heard. Meow. The sound is harsh, and the moment the sound is heard, the zombie cat in the center of the hall quickly heads towards the stair door. Chu Hanyan was horrified when she bumped into her. She didn't expect that the zombie cat would find her. And with a shrill cry from the zombie cat, more than a dozen black figures jumped out from the darkness and headed straight for the stairs. At the door, Chu Hanyan was so scared. There were more than 2 zombie cats. No wonder the people downstairs were wiped out without even letting out a scream. Bang! Close the door of the stairwell tightly with all your strength, and then locked it. Chu Hanyan quickly retreated, and immediately after, dozens of muffled sounds came from the stair door, and with this at this time, there were also the sounds of shrill meows and scratches frantically scratching the door. Concubine Hu Yu looked solemn when she heard the sound coming from the stair door. She pulled up Chu Hanyan, who was still a little confused, turned around and ran upstairs. You are really a crow. Is the zombie cat a relative of yours? Welcome you so much and listen to you so much. There were more than 10 of them when they arrived. You are awesome. After being dragged away by concubine Hu Yu, Chu Hanyan said she would not take the blame. What does this have to do with me? If I didn't say anything, those zombie cats wouldn't show up. Are you kidding me? Where are we going? On the 2nd floor, let's jump down from the back. Concubine Hu Yu said as she ran all the way to the 2nd floor. She found a room and ran in with Chu Hanyan. I don't know if it was because they were afraid of zombies, but everyone instinctively wanted to live higher up. Anyway, there was no one on the 1st and 2nd floors, which made it easier for concubine Hu Yu and Chu Hanyan to escape. Opening the window, concubine Hu Yu looked downstairs and her pupils shrank. Baiwan Business Building is a place for business offices. The floors are relatively high. Although it is only the 2nd floor, it is still 6 or 7 meters above the ground. If you jump from this height, especially in this dark situation, there is a high chance of fracture. The field of view is too dark, it is impossible to if you can't tell exactly how high the ground is, and you can't unload the force reasonably, it will cause more serious damage to the crotch. In this situation, once the crotch is broken, you are basically waiting to die. Try to find ropes, clothes, or curtains will do. Jumping from this height is no different than seeking death. Hurry up. Over time, people upstairs may find out. Those people on the first floor have walkie-talkies. The short-term power outage will not affect the walkie-talkies. She doesn't even know whether those people notified Wu Zhan and others upstairs before they died. If so, the people upstairs come down. If she and Chu Hanyan get stuck, let's finish playing together. Chu Hanyan knew the seriousness of the matter, so he and concubine Hu Yu rummaged in the room separately, but let alone ropes in the office, just there wasn't even a power cord. But it didn't mean that he didn't receive the goods at all. Chu Hanyan found the phone cord, but it was relatively thin, and there were only 2 cords. The key was that it was still very short. What did you find? Concubine Hu Yu found nothing and returned to Chu Hanyan with an ugly face. She took out the phone cord in her hand and took advantage of the dim starlight to see the phone cord in Chu Hanyan's hand. Although it was very thin and short, this is at least a hope. Keep looking. There are so many offices on the 2nd floor. If you search separately, you will always find something you can use quickly. The stair door on the 2nd floor has been closed. There is no worry that zombie cats will rush in. Zombie cats can't open the door, but people can. What concubine Hu Yu is afraid of is that Wu Zhan and others will suddenly come down. Although they may not come to the 2nd floor, but if you are not afraid of 10,000, you are afraid of the worst. The 2 of them searched separately, and soon they gathered together again with their respective harvests. Chu Hanyan held a large number of telephone cords and a 3-meter-long power cord in his hand. I don't know where she got it from. Concubine Hu Yu was almost the same, but she also had an extra white sheet in her hand. These should be enough, right? It was too dark in the corridor to see exactly how many things there were. Chu Hanyan was not sure. Concubine Hu Yu said in a deep voice, try it first. As long as it is not too different, the height of 1 or 2 meters will be a problem. It's not big, just numb for a while at most. Cha, cha. A slight sound was heard, and concubine Hu Yu's hair stood up. She suddenly looked towards the direction of the sound, feeling as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. 10 meters to the left, 7 or 8 black figures quietly approached, and their eyes met with more than a dozen gray-white eyes with green light. Concubine Hu Yu suddenly realized that she had overlooked a very important thing. In Baiwan Business Building, there is another passage for going upstairs, not just one side for going up and down the stairs. How can you run? Concubine Hu Yu's movements paused. Chu Hanyan raised his head and looked at her without knowing why. Before he could say anything, he heard concubine Hu Yu's low voice, and then she was pulled up and dragged along. He ran forward. Meow. The sudden piercing meow answered Chu Hanyan's question. He staggered and was grabbed by concubine Hu Yu and ran away. Chu Hanyan was frightened. The piercing meow was like a reminder. Bang. Rushing all the way back to the previous room, concubine Hu Yu suddenly closed the door tightly. Almost a second or two later, a muffled sound hit the door. After escaping, concubine Hu Yu let out a long sigh of relief. Chu Hanyan also woke up from the shock and collapsed directly on the ground. Thrilling. Too thrilling. If it weren't for concubine Hu Yu's sensitive perception, both of them would have to explain where they were today. Chu Hanyan only felt that her legs were soft now, no strength at all. I have never hated cats as much as I do now. Lying on the ground, Chu Hanyan didn't care whether the ground was dirty or not. After her breathing stabilized, concubine Hu Yu glanced at the banging door, kicked Chu Hanyan in the chest, and said, quickly get up, tie up all these things, and let's leave here as soon as possible. Baiwan Business Building is too dangerous. I don't even know how many people will be alive here tomorrow. Maybe no one will die. We must get out of here while these zombie cats are all focused on this. Chu Hanyan climbed up in a hurry, looked down at the telephone cables and power cords brought back from the ground, picked them up and began to tie them. Concubine Hu Yu was not idle either. She also squatted down to help, and the things they brought back there wasn't much, and they were all used quickly. After tying up the phone cords, power cords, and sheets, Concubine Hu Yu gestured and found that it was about 6 meters long. This length was almost enough, even if it was only part of it. If they were tied to the desk, they would definitely not fall too badly if they jumped. The two of them worked together to move a desk to the window. Concubine Hu Yu stuck her head out of the window and looked outside carefully under the light of the moon. After taking a look to make sure there were no zombie cats or anything like that, he threw the assembled downhill equipment out of the window. "I'll go down first and meet you below." Chu Hanyan nodded. Concubine Hu Yu was strong, alert enough, and had better physical fitness than her. Even if she went down first, she would be able to react even if there was danger. After Concubine Hu Yu said that, she climbed out of the window and put the pistol inside her hot pants, grabbed the simple rope with both hands and jumped down. It was similar to Hu Yu's estimation, and even the length was completely enough. Taking into account her personal height, the rope was still a little longer. Today's situation was too the crisis made her head short-circuit and she forgot to calculate her own height. Down to earth, Concubine Hu Yu looked around cautiously. Although the moon was not big, the light was enough for her to see the surrounding environment clearly. She was sure that there was no danger. Concubine Yu waved to Chu Hanyan upstairs. "Come down." On the second floor, looking at Concubine Hu Yu's gesture, Chu Hanyan turned around and glanced at the banging door. Not daring to hesitate, he quickly turned over and grabbed the simple rope to climb down. He successfully caught Chu Hanyan. Concubine Hu Yu identified the direction and whispered, "Follow me." In the darkness, two figures quickly left the Baiwan business building. Not long after the two figures disappeared, several shadows suddenly appeared from several windows on the second floor. Several zombie cats ignored the height of 6 or 7 meters and directly falling to the ground, without any hesitation, he chased in the direction where the two women disappeared at a very fast speed, and soon disappeared into the darkness. Under the night, Baiwan business building seemed to be very quiet, and I don't know how long it had passed before a scream came out, quickly breaking the tranquility in the darkness. The first crisis in the era of no electricity was coming. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 216. Chapter 216. Either work hard or keep your complaints in your stomach. No matter how terrifying the night is, it will eventually pass. As the first ray of sunshine appears on the horizon, the whole world is illuminated, bringing light to the people who are cowering in the darkness. Of warmth and security. Lin Fan opened his eyes amidst the refreshing body fragrance. His arms were a little heavy. Lin Fan lowered his head and looked over. He saw Li Yun lying in his arms, with half of his face exposed. His face was mature and elegant, exuding a hint of haziness. Moving. After a moment of recollection, Lin Fan remembered last night's battle. Li Yun, who had acquired spatial powers, was particularly enthusiastic, but he just misjudged his own strength, and finally fell asleep in his arms due to exhaustion. The palm of his hand gently caressed Li Yun's back. Lin Fan slowly closed his eyes, enjoying the comfort of his palm, and began to fall asleep. It's still early, so don't rush to get up yet. As for the Emperor, he must have the Emperor's son. He goes to bed later than a dog and wakes up earlier than a chicken. That's nonsense. He is determined to be a foolish emperor. Anyway, when it comes to managing this kind of thing, with Lin Yu and the others here, he can just be a worm. At most, he can go out to fight zombies every day and expand his territory, so he doesn't need to do anything else. He is like a male lion on the grassland. He only needs to be responsible for guarding the territory, and then everyone can have fun together at night. Work such as hunting management is the responsibility of the female lions. This kind of work can be left to Lin Yu and the others. Not long after he closed his eyes and fell asleep, the door of the master bedroom was pushed open. Lin Fan opened his eyes and looked over. They were Yu Yi and Zhang Kaiyu who were making breakfast. Making eye contact with Lin Fan, the two women walked to the bed, crawled next to him and lay down. "Lord, do you want to get up and get dressed?" Leaning against Lin Fan, Yu Yiren's voice was as gentle as water, with indescribable love in her beautiful eyes. "No need, let's wait for Yu and the others to come together. It's so boring to get up so early." "Well, it's all up to you." The master bedroom became quiet. Not long after, with a few yawns, Suziologo opened his eyes in confusion. "Elder brother, Bo." Suziologo crawled up to Lin Fan and kissed Lin Fan on the face softly and cutely. Then he got up and put on his clothes with a smile. Lin Yu and the other girls kissed Lin Fan on the face one after another and stood up. Press. After stopping Li Yun who wanted to get up, Lin Fan remained calm and busy with his own work. At the door of the master bedroom, Lin Yu turned to look at Lin Fan, left a word and walked out. "Kaiyu, please dress the Lord." More than an hour later, Lin Fan walked out refreshed. After a while, Zhang Kaiyu and Yu Yiren, who had tidied up, helped Li Yun, who was still a little weak, and walked out. They had been busy in the living room for a long time. When Lin Yu and others saw Lin Fan come out, they put down their work and walked to the dining table. They would not eat by themselves until Lin Fan came out. On the sofa, Yerulin, who also got up, looked at Li Yun who was being helped out. There was surprise and unspeakable lust in his eyes. In this age where 11 or 12-year-old children know all the things about adults, seeing this scene, Yerulin immediately understood why Lin Fan came out later than Lin Yu and the others. After eating, Lin Fan looked at Li Yun and the three girls, thought for a while, and warned, "Today, you three should temporarily improve your strength outside the city gate, and don't go further, even though you have special powers. Essentially you are still ordinary people, and you still can't react when you encounter things like zombie cats." After eating and replenishing some energy, Li Yun has almost recovered. Hearing Lin Fan's concern, the three women felt boundless warmth in their hearts. "I know, Lord, we will pay attention." Nodding, Lin Fan walked towards the door of the second floor, and Yerulin quickly followed. Under Lin Fan's somewhat surprised gaze, Yerulin knelt down next to him, imitating the way Li Yun and the other three had done before, and changed Lin Fan's shoes. It was a habit. Lin Fan didn't say anything about being served by someone else. He just wanted to change people. After leaving the supermarket, Lin Fan didn't rush to the sewer. Instead, he walked around and ran to the photovoltaic generator. They were far away. Lin Fan you could see a dozen women gathered around and tinkering with something. Lin Fan thought it was because these women got up early, but at 12 o'clock last night, Cao Shan and others restored the power to the hospital. Zhao Yanyan also received a special report on this matter. As soon as Lin Fan came closer, he saw a woman hurriedly walking out of the light energy generator cabin. The woman raised her head, and Lin Fan recognized her identity at a glance. Cao Shan, the female maintenance worker whom he saved her life, was as burned as a nigger by the smoke from the explosion. She also told him not to be so impatient and that she could give him her life, but he was mercilessly beaten by him. She mocked her for a while. But after Cao Shan washed her face, she was indeed very beautiful. Even among those women who looked like flowers, she couldn't be said to stand out from the crowd, at least she was slightly better. Looking at the thick look in Cao Shan's eyes, Lin Fan was stunned for a moment because of the dark circles under his eyes. Did he not sleep all night? Looking around, Lin Fan found that it was not only Cao Shan, but also a dozen women with tired faces. The dark circles around their eyes could look like pandas. Lin Fan saw Cao Shan. As soon as Cao Shan came out, he also saw Lin Fan at first sight. After all, a man suddenly stood out among a dozen women, not to mention how conspicuous he was. The first time he saw Lin Fan, Cao Shan, she subconsciously took a step back. She had no choice but to do it. She was indeed frightened by Lin Fan, but she felt something was wrong after taking a step back. She took a step forward with courage. This step back and forward, coupled with the change in expression, gave Lin Fan everyone is enjoying themselves. Good guy, what are you doing here? Have you been up all night? Isn't the power supply already in place? Why don't you go to bed? It will take time to restore power to the entire city, so don't tire yourself out. This is not Lin Fan's hypocrisy. A total of several hundred people were brought back last night. These are all technical personnel. Technical personnel are always treasures. Unless they are idiots who only want to enjoy themselves for a while and do not want to make progress, they will all pay special attention to technical personnel. Without these technical personnel, there is no way to develop other industries. You can't always live in the primitive era or develop from scratch, right? Then aren't hundreds of years of scientific and technological achievements wasted in vain? I found that Lin Fan's tone was better than last night. She didn't know how much, and Cao Shan was almost certain of her thoughts. She must have been smoked too dark last night, otherwise Lin Fan would never be so fierce. If he was in a normal state last night, she was more than 50% sure that Lin Fan Hui agreed. After all, she was also a senior technician. She was not bad looking and had a good figure. She was not thinking about studying light energy generators that night. She also understood from the maid who was always waiting for orders. Some information about the situation in the City of Judgment. First of all, Lin Fan is the lord of the city, and he is not a vegetarian. People eat meat, and they eat a lot. There are many mistresses at the moment, and there are also a lot of broken heads. She was a reserve soldier who also wanted to climb up, which made her feel at ease instantly. Since she was not a vegetarian, everything was easy to say, and her conditions were not bad. A senior technician must have a good figure, good looks, and good looks. She has a sweet voice, why not? When she was about to die, Cao Shan always regretted it. She died so mysteriously after being solo for so many years. It was a shame for her mother. Then she was saved by Lin Fan. She had planned to, she promised to save her life, but was rejected in the end. Now that she has found the problem, Cao Shan is full of confidence. Putting aside the idea of being a mistress and not being a mistress, she must fight for this man. The best thing is right now, given the opportunity, she must thoroughly understand the photoelectric generator and show her indispensable value. She wanted to use this as an important bargaining chip and trump card, but she ended up studying it all night. To be honest, if it weren't for the instruction manual, faced with this super-era photoelectric generator, Cao Shan really had no choice but to bite the hedgehog. She had no idea how the thing in front of her worked and what those lines were for. Now that she heard Lin Fan when asked, Cao Shan also felt very sleepy and yawned uncontrollably. This photovoltaic generator is so advanced that even with the manual, I thought it was difficult to operate. I studied it all night without realizing it, but there are still some gains. Give us some time, and the power in the entire Judgment City will be restored. You spent so much effort to bring us back, we still have to show our value no matter what, and we also have to contribute to the City of Judgment. Glancing at Cao Shan, Lin Fan felt that this woman was a bit interesting, and her words expressed their efforts and role. However, no matter what, this effort is worthy of recognition. No boss doesn't like employees who work hard and work overtime. He casually threw a dozen porcelain bottles in front of Cao Shan and others. Looking at their confused looks, Lin Fan said, "Eat it. There are good things in it. Many people want it and have to spend money to buy it. I'll just give it to you, body." While the women were still looking at the porcelain bottles in their hands hesitantly and doubtfully, Cao Shan did not hesitate, pulled out the stopper, raised her head and ate the goblet. Chewing the soft candy-like elixir in the goblet, Cao Shan muttered, "What is this? It's a little fragrant and a little sweet, and it feels very comfortable, as if there is a warmth circulating in the body. The thing you are given to eat is called Yuan Li Dan. It sells for 1,200 judgment coins, which is roughly equivalent to 1/3 of the monthly salary of a low-level worker. For a female warrior, she needs to kill 120 zombies to redeem such a pill. It can greatly increase the price. Improve people's physical fitness without any side effects." Lin Fan still appreciates Cao Shan's decisiveness. As for the women who were looking at the bottle in a daze and hesitated, Lin Fan had nothing to say. Everyone is under his control. If he wants to do something, who among them can resist? Hearing Lin Fan's words, the women looked surprised. Coupled with Cao Shan's description, these women knew that this was good stuff. They uncorked the bottles and drank it in one gulp. "Yes, drank it. Why is ours water? It's the same thing for me. Is it melted?" Facing the women's questions, Lin Fan said calmly, "What you are drinking is Yuan Li liquid, which is worth 100 judgment coins. It belongs to the first level of the Yuan Li series. Its medicinal power is much worse than that of Yuan Li pill. But you want to ask why Cao Shan's is better than yours." Looking at these women, Lin Fan said, "Because I have the final say here. Good things can be given to whomever you want. In addition, don't you think there is a big gap between your performance and Cao Shan? Where to show it specifically, think to yourself, good things will only be given to useful people. Either work hard to show it, or keep your complaints in your stomach. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers." Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 217. Chapter 217. Good guy, I've fallen into a wolf's den. In the hospital square, all the female warriors of Judgment City have gathered at this time, and the maids have also arranged themselves in square formations, surrounding the entire square. The gazes of both the female warriors and the maids were very hot, and the center of focus was in the center of the square. Today, Lin Yu and others are different from usual. Everyone is wearing fitted white combat uniforms, carrying tang knives on their waists, and their postures are the center of everyone's attention. They are extremely dazzling, even if they are of the same body type. As women, the female warriors also felt amazing. Today is the day when the combat uniforms come out. The female soldiers have received the news early. They have been looking forward to the unified combat uniforms for a long time. Now I see the white combat uniforms worn by Lin Yu and others, not to mention how envious they are. The combat uniforms are as if they were tailor-made for them. They fit perfectly and outline the most beautiful curves of a woman. Regardless of whether the combat uniforms are comfortable to wear or whether they will affect combat operations, the female soldiers did not consider it. Mainly, this combat uniform is so beautiful. The female soldiers were all looking forward to it. If they had not abided by the discipline and did not dare to make mistakes, they would have rushed up and touched the combat uniform with their hands. In the array, Lu Yuer's eyes were fixed on Yerulin, who was standing at the end of the square. The jealousy that had just subsided last night surged into her heart again. I see. She's going to be so angry. Living on the second floor of the supermarket last night already made her unhappy. Today, she walked out wearing a beautiful combat uniform, looking heroic and majestic. Lu Yuer was really angry. Why isn't she standing there? Grass. This is not fair. No matter how angry she was, it was of no use. Lu Yuer could only hold it all in her heart. If looks could kill, Lu Yuer would definitely make holes in Yerulan's body and kill her into a hornet's nest. Not only Lu Yuer, everyone in the crowd, including Zhou Ziyan, Wang Ziwen, and Jasmine, were looking at Yerulan. It could be said that Yerulan had reached the position they had always dreamed of. How could they not be envious? The square was silent. Everyone was waiting, with unspeakable anticipation and excitement in their hearts. They were waiting for Lin Fan to come over. Today is the awarding ceremony. Combat uniforms and status badges are unveiled. As the King of Judgment City, Lin Fan will be present in person to award medals to female warriors at the level of squad leader or above. This award ceremony not only includes female warriors, but also women engaged in ordinary professions. As long as their status reaches level 3 and above, they can all receive awards from Lin Fan. Lin Fan rarely appeared in front of all the women. Unless it was some big event, it would be a blessing to see Lin Fan's shadow occasionally. Every time something important happens, it is a rare time for women to see a living Lin Fan appear in front of them. All women are looking forward to this, even the maids are no exception. Everyone has dreams. What if Lin Fan falls in love with one of them? If you don't even have this kind of dream, what's the difference between it and salted fish? The square remained quiet for a long time, until a black crack appeared out of thin air. After Lin Fan's figure walked out of it, the atmosphere suddenly became restless. After leading Cao Shan and others out of the space passage, Lin Fan looked at the dark crowd in front of him with a very dull look. He turned his head and glanced at Cao Shan and others, pointed to the array where the female workers in the power plant belonged, and said, "Go over there." After taking the Yuanli pill and Yuanli liquid, they were replenished with vitality. Whether it was Cao Shan or the dozen women, the haggardness and dark circles on their faces were wiped away, and they felt full of energy. Not feeling tired after staying up all night. Walking to the center of the square, he nodded to Lin Yu and the others, signaling that they could start. Lin Fan turned to face the many women, his eyes filled with indescribable majesty. I believe everyone knows what is going to happen today, so I won't go into too much nonsense. Let's go straight to the topic. Today's ceremony is to distribute combat uniforms and award medals by me personally. The level is LV3 squad leader and above. Since the combat uniforms were only issued yesterday confirmed, the production quantity is limited and currently only distributed to L3 team leaders. When they heard that the combat uniforms were limited, many female soldiers who had been looking forward to it seemed very disappointed, but they quickly disappeared. They understood that it wouldn't take long before they would be able to wear the uniform white combat uniforms. Without further ado, let's begin the awarding ceremony. Next, the person I called will step forward. Li Fengxiao. Arrive. At the front of the female warrior formation, Li Fengxiao was shaken. With excitement on her face, she strode out of the queue and did not stop until she was 1 meter in front of Lin Fan. Looking at the cold and charming woman full of heroic spirit in front of him, Lin Fan smiled slightly, smiling and waving to the side. A maid who had been waiting for a long time walked to Lin Fan with a white combat uniform in her hand and her head lowered. Turning her head to look at the badge on the top of the combat uniform, Lin Fan put it on. Picking it up, there are 3 golden stars on the badge on the bottom. The position represented in the City of Judgment is LV4 Squadron Leader, which is also the highest military rank in the current combat order. Holding the medal in his hand, Lin Fan took a step forward. Under Li Fengjiao's excited eyes, she pinned the medal to her heart. Unlike men, the woman's heart was bulging high, and the touch was very good. As the person involved, Li Fengjiao didn't know whether she was excited or something. His face was bleeding, and he stood with his back straight and his heart raised high, as if he was afraid of Lin Fan's inconvenience. Pinning the badge, Lin Fan took back his hand and listened to the sigh coming from his ears. Lin Fan shook his head in his mind. He was in a wolf's den. He picked up the combat uniform in the hand of the maid next to him, and handed it to Li Fengxiao. Your performance has always been very good, keep up the hard work. Li Fengjiao was so excited that she could hardly control herself. As one of the first batch of female warriors, Li Fengjiao could be said to be the most poisoned by Lin Fan. Although she knew there was no possibility, it could not extinguish her heart. Lin Fan's passionate flames. Li Fengjiao raised her hand to take the combat uniform handed over by Lin Fan, and touched Lin Fan's hand. Li Fengjiao dared to touch it twice before taking the combat uniform into her hand. Half kneeling on the ground, Li Fengjiao said excitedly, I will not let you down. Well, step back. Lin Fan nodded. Lin Fan didn't care about Li Fengjiao's 2 sneak touches. He touched her twice. He was not a woman, and he would not suffer any loss. Watching Li Fengjiao return to the queue, Lin Fan shouted again. Said Zhu Fangfang. Next to Li Fengjiao, who had just returned to the queue, Zhu Fangfang was delighted and hurriedly got out of the queue. Arrive. Like Lin Fengjiao, Lin Fan put the badge on Zhu Fangfang, and then handed the combat uniform to her hand. I don't know if it was a unified front. Lin Fan could feel that his hand was touched twice. He glanced at Zhu Fangfang's powder. Lin Fan asked her to step back because of Xian's face. Su Yan. Arrive. Third from the left, Su Yan took a step forward with a cold expression. Ever since he was bullied by a man, Su Yan's expression had turned into this cold look, and his hatred for the man had penetrated deep into his bones. This time when his name was called by Lin Fan, the expression on Su Yan's face changed. The halo spread from the bottom of his neck to the top of his head. The degree was worse than that of Li Fengjiao and Zhu Fangfang. He looked like a cooked prawn walking towards him. Su Yan, Lin Fan didn't know what to say for a moment. He personally put on the badge for Su Yan. As a man, Lin Fan couldn't stand this enthusiasm, and his hands were pushed back. He was a little bit sent away. Su Yan and Lin Fan, who were still unfinished, spoke one after another. The female warriors whose names were called came forward one after another, and then walked back to the queue with their pink and dizzy faces. After this morning, Lin Fan felt that his hands were, it almost felt like a layer of skin had been peeled off. This group of first-generation female warriors were so enthusiastic. After calming down, after dealing with those first-generation female warriors, the awarding ceremony was held for those women who had outstanding performance. That is, women with great potential and even high competitiveness, such as Lu Yu'er and Zhou Ziyan. Lu Yu'er. Arrive. Lu Yu'er, who had been waiting for a long time, hurriedly took a step forward, as if she had been given a shot of chicken blood, just shy of not recognizing her relatives. Looking at Lu Yu'er walking in front of him, Lin Fan still remembers this. The woman looked like that when she was on the 9th floor. Did she say she would rather die than give in? The transformation of Zhenxiang was really fast. Lu Yu'er is very beautiful, with bright eyes and white teeth, picturesque eyebrows and crystal clear skin, especially after strengthening, the lines are more perfect and tall, and the beauty is indescribable. Speaking of which, if it hadn't left a bad impression at the beginning, it might have gone further than Li Yun and the others. To put it simply, it is a good hand of cards. He had too much self-esteem, and ended up cheating himself. Now he is climbing up with all his strength, trying to climb to Lin Fan. I mentioned Lu Yu'er by name last time, but Lin Fan didn't do it this time. He said something, put the badge on her, and with a few words of encouragement, she returned to the queue. After returning to the queue, Qin Shiu asked secretly, how do you feel? Lu Yu'er made a perfect gesture and whispered, it's great, it's powerful, but it's a pity that the contact area is a bit small. Lin Fan's hearing is very sensitive. Such words of tiger and wolf made Lin Fan's face darken immediately, and he had to speed up the progress. After Wang Ziwen, Zhou Ziyan, and Jasmine were all awarded medals, Lin Fan turned to look at the other person. On the side, What comes into view is a figure that is independent from the world, as cold as an immortal, with a fluttering long skirt, as if it is about to ride away in the wind. Mu Qingxiu exist. When she heard Lin Fan calling her name, Mu Qingxiu moved forward slowly. When their eyes met, Lin Fan quickly withdrew his gaze, while Mu Qingxiu breathed a sigh of relief. Every time she met Lin Fan looking at each other, she felt an indescribable feeling of nervousness. She picked up the badge and pinned it on Mu Qingxiu. Mu Qingxiu was a breath of fresh air among so many women. Others were trying their best to push forward. Only Mu Qingxiu shrank in fear, which made Lin Fan breathe a sigh of relief, and finally felt normal. Since he was not a combatant, Mu Qingxiu did not have a combat uniform, just a badge. Waiting for the female warrior, their combat uniforms are all ready, and then they will probably consider the clothing of non-combatants. After Mu Qingxiu, Lin Fan looked at Cao Shan, and in her expectant eyes, he said next, "Let me introduce to you the upstart of Judgment City, Level 4 Electricity Manager Cao Shan. From today on, Cao Shan will be responsible for all power issues in the City of Judgment." As Cao Shan walked out of the queue, thousands of eyes looked at Cao Shan, with an indescribable feeling in their eyes. They were curious and questioning. Unlike Mu Qingxiu, almost everyone knew that Mu Qingxiu, her name is well deserved, and the level 5 exclusive singer deserves it, but Cao Shan, level 4 electricity supervisor, in terms of status, he can already be compared with the first-generation female warriors like Li Fengqiao, and his status is equivalent to that of a squadron leader. No matter what the women thought, Lin Fan held the medal and put it on Cao Shan's heart. Cao Shan looked at her intently the whole time. Lin Fan felt a little bit too much. Women nowadays are so enthusiastic that they can't stand it. They can't stand it. Sooner or later, I will kill you one by one. The investiture ceremony had basically come to an end. Just when all the women thought the ceremony was about to end, Lin Fan waved behind him, and the three women, Li Yun, Zhang Kaiyu, and Yu Yiren, walked up to Lin Fan. Lin Fan's next words were like a bomb exploding, instantly causing a huge sensation and blinding all the women present. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 218. Chapter 218 Yu Yiren Solo Dance. There are no rubbish abilities, only people who don't know how to use them. As Li Yun and the three girls stepped forward, doubts flashed in the eyes of the women. At this time, among the many women who were confused, Lin Fan announced in front of everyone, from today on, Li Yun, Yu Yiren, and Zhang Kaiyu will be promoted from the previous level 5 managers to the level 8 arbitration team and become one of the matrons. He was confused and looked at the three Li Yun and women beside Lin Fan. We were all stunned. We thought that the day would end here, but the finale was such a terrifying news. It was like a depth charge that stunned everyone. Especially Lu Minjiao and Qin Yue, who were standing at the back of the queue. Although they had long known that their mother had become Lin Fan's, they never thought that their mother could become the mistress. This fucking surprise came too fast, didn't it? Especially Qin Yue, she just received the source power crystal given to her by Zhang Kaiyu yesterday, and her strength increased instantly. It is said that this was given by Lin Fan. Such a source power crystal is worth 15,000 yuan. Coins are equivalent to killing 1,500 zombies, and the surge in strength is equivalent to the results of a week or two of ordinary female warriors fighting. On her first day here, she already got what many female warriors dream of. This is the benefit of status. While others are working hard, they have already boarded the express train and are ahead of many others. Is this because their mother is a level 5 general manager, and now she is a level 8 arbitration member and becomes the mistress? How much benefit will it bring to them? This is not because they are obsessed with thinking that daughters are more valuable than mothers, but why not use them if they have this condition? Do you have to work your way up from the grassroots level? Just when Qin Yue and Lu Minjiao were in a daze, the women who had woken up from the shock looked at the two of them with indescribable envy and jealousy in their eyes. After announcing this shocking news, Lin Fan did not stay long. He had already wasted a lot of time today. He had not gone to lay the man-eating vines and man-eating flowers in the ground today. After finishing these, he still had to go outside. Yesterday he pounced on a Kong, today he is going to Baiwan Business Building to have a look. There must be an explanation for whether Chu Hanyan is dead or alive. Lin Fan left, Lin Yuyo said a few words, and the female warriors dispersed one after another. Under the leadership of their respective captains, they went to the 4 city gates. The female warriors in combat uniforms stayed for a while and couldn't wait to put on their combat uniforms. Accepted, and then left. When Li Fengjiao and others walked out of the dormitory of female soldiers wearing combat uniforms, the eyes of the female soldiers who had not yet left were stricken. These combat uniforms were specially measured and tailor-made for each person's size. Due to the relatively high requirements, it seems a little slower to make. At the East City Gate, as the majestic and heavy city gate opened, Yu Yiren walked at the front, followed by hundreds of female warriors. Beside her, Lu Minjiao followed, and Wu Menfei and others followed behind. One person can ascend to heaven, and now that Yu Yiren has become the mistress, even though they are Lu Minjiao's best friends, their status has risen invisibly. At least the captain who leads the team does not dare to look down on them. Holding Yu Yiren's arm, the excitement on Lu Minjiao's face has not disappeared even now. "Mom, tell me quickly, how did you become a mistress? Didn't you say before that you are a ruined, married woman who is already satisfied with being a general manager? Do you want me to work hard on my own in the future? Come on, come on, come on, why is it so sudden?" Lu Minjiao shook her arm, and Yu Yiren had a gentle smile on her face. When she talked about Lin Fan, she always had deep love in her eyes. In fact, my mother was also shocked when the Lord told us last night, but the Lord doesn't care that we are married, and. Recalling what Lin Fan said last night, Yu Yiren couldn't speak anymore. Lu Minjiao listened to half of it, and suddenly realized that Yu Yiren had stopped talking, and quickly said coquettishly, "And what? Mom, please tell me quickly." Yu Yiren was almost shaken to pieces, but what should she say? Tell the truth? That can't be done. She couldn't keep it off her face. How do you say this? How can you have a daughter if you don't get married? And what about mature women lying down and making messy comments about tigers and wolves? This can't be done. She knows how to teach bad children. Although Lu Minjiao is not young now and probably knows more than she should know, but as an elder, how can she say it out loud? Okay, stop shaking. In short, the Lord didn't mind, saying that we didn't know how to keep ourselves clean, and then gave us divine power. Listening to Yu Yiren's obviously perfunctory words, Lu Minjiao was very dissatisfied, wrinkled her little nose, and asked, "Mom, what is your ability?" "Water." "Water," Lu Minjiao's eyes widened in surprise, with indescribable surprise in her tone. After all, she only gave birth to Lu Minjiao after 10 months of pregnancy, and she raised her to such a large age. How could Yu Yiren not understand Lu Minjiao's expression and tone? What on earth is she thinking? Do you think the water is weak? Lu Minjiao scratched her head, smiled awkwardly, and said nothing. She glared at Lu Minjiao angrily, and Yu Yi said angrily, You, don't say she is my daughter when you go out in the future, it's embarrassing. You just think that water is weak. Have you ever heard that water and fire are ruthless? Have you ever heard that a drop of water can penetrate a stone? The power of water is very soft, but that's just what you see. You haven't seen the truly terrifying side of water. And don't forget, water also has the ability to mutate into ice, which is also part of the water attribute. Daughter, you have to remember there are no garbage capabilities in the world, only garbage users. Lu Minjiao scratched her head in embarrassment. At this time, the city gate was completely opened, and a group of people also walked to the gate of the outer city. Over the course of one night, many zombies crowded over and smelled the breath of living people. One he roared and rushed towards Yu Yiren and others. Seeing this, Yu Yiren pinched Lu Minjiao's face hard and reminded, "Watch it, let me show you the water element ability that you despise." As he spoke, Yu Yiren waved his hand, and the water elements in the air gathered, condensing dozens of water streams in mid-air. Under Yu Yiren's control, they quickly flew towards the zombies that were rushing towards them. The water streams seemed to be powerless in line with the zombies. On their heads, it was like washing the faces of the zombies. In fact, the water flowed into the heads along the nostrils and ear holes. With a slight shock, the zombies' heads were destroyed, causing splashes of water. It hit the surrounding zombies, and a large number of zombies fell down under the blow and could not get up again. Lu Minjiao was stunned. What happened? She didn't see any holes in the zombies' heads, either. I didn't see the zombies' heads being smashed by the water flow. Why did the zombies suddenly die? Releasing so much water at one time and controlling it so accurately was very costly for UI people, but fortunately the results were rich. Killing dozens of zombies in an instant, Yu Yiren's level 1 superpower was instantly promoted to level 2, even approaching level 3. This improvement is significant, and the benefit of the breakthrough is that a large part of the mental power is instantly restored, and even half of the lost water element energy was instantly restored. Mom, how did you do it? Why did those zombies die suddenly? Lu Minjiao was so anxious that she looked at Yu Yiren curiously and kept asking. Yu Yiren glared at her angrily, "Think about it for yourself. After reading the water, I will show you something else to save you from looking down on you." Mom, I think your mother is weak. Yu Yiren wants to show off in front of her daughter. Lu Minjiao's attitude just now irritated Yu Yiren. The clay figure is very angry. If he doesn't make steamed buns to fight for his reputation, he is looked down upon by his daughter. No matter how good-tempered Yu Yiren is, he is still a little angry. He must give this stupid daughter some color. With a wave of his hand, water elements gathered in mid-air, and dozens of water streams appeared. At first, Lu Minjiao was a little confused, but then Lu Minjiao's eyes changed. 10 number streams of water shot out, exuding thick cold air in the air. Within a few meters, they turned into sharp ice picks. These ice picks cut through the air and penetrated the heads of the zombies that rushed over. He continued to fire unabated, until he penetrated the heads of 7 or 8 zombies, before the strength failed and they shattered in mid-air. The lethality of the dozens of sharp ice picks was terrifying, killing nearly 100 zombies in one fell swoop. A blank area came out, which stunned Lu Minjiao. With this blow, Yu Yiren was officially promoted to LV3. There was a fluctuation in the body, and the momentum was rising. Yu Yiren became more powerful. Looking at it, he was shocked. The stunned daughter, Yu Yiren's desire to express herself was unprecedentedly strong. Feeling the abundant water element energy in her body, Yu Yiren's eyes trembled. The air in front of her was filled with water vapor, and soon a terrifying anaconda was as thick as a bucket and 7 or 8 meters long. Appearing out of thin air, the anaconda roared silently and rushed towards the group of corpses in front of it. The cold air filled the air. The frost seemed to have coated the anaconda with a layer of hard armor. The ice blue ice python carried a terrifying cold air. Sweeping all the way out, zombies were frozen into ice sculptures wherever they passed, and then were smashed into irregular ice blocks by the ice python. The ice python was extremely terrifying, wandering back and forth among the corpses, and its huge body was the best weapon. A sweeping tail killed dozens or hundreds of zombies in an instant. Under the massacre of the ice python, a large number of zombies died, while the aura in Yu Yiren's body continued to rise. Next to Yu Yiren, Lu Minjiao looked stupid. The small beetle was kept open and could not be closed. After a lot of performance, Yu Yiren stopped until the energy of the ice python was completely dissipated. At this time, Yu Yiren's power level had been promoted to LV4, and he went straight to LV5. Go. Withdrawing his hand and looking at the frightened Lu Minjiao, Yu Yiren raised his hand, tapped her forehead hard with his index finger, and lectured, "Did you see it? This is the ability without rubbish, only the ability to know how to do it. If you were not my daughter, I would have kicked you into oblivion long ago. You are really embarrassing to me." Covering her head, Lu Minjiao laughed, not caring at all. Yu Yiren did not focus on beauty, but only focused on improving her own strength. She turned to look at the female warriors behind her who were not moving, and said softly, "Don't even want it. You are stunned, just kill zombies as before, I won't bother you here." Yu Yiren's words are not a joke. Now that she has water element power level 4, if she mixes with these female warriors to kill zombies, it will simply not give these female warriors a way to survive, especially Yu Yiren's use of the power. They are also very skilled. These female warriors cannot touch zombies at all. The team leader who took the lead nodded repeatedly. In front of the mistress Yu Yiren, she could only nod. Watching Yu Yiren go away, Lu Minjiao walked away with a puffy face. When he came to Wu Menfei's side, he muttered softly, "Don't think that I don't know what the second half is if you don't tell me. It's good to marry someone. If you don't marry, how can you find such a lovely woman like me?" Oh. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 219. Chapter 219. Do you want a man? Qin Yue was stunned. At the West City Gate, like Yu Yiren, Zhang Kaiyu brought Qin Yue here. Now that Zhang Kaiyu has special powers, and Qin Yue has eaten the source power crystal, her strength has greatly increased, so she can take Qin Yue by herself. At the gate of the city, Qin Yue looked at her mother curiously, as if she was looking at an alien. What's that look in your eyes? Be normal, I think you want to be beaten. Zhang Kaiyu is different from Yu Yiren. When facing Qin Yue, she still has the majesty of a mother. Qin Yue stuck out her sweet tongue and whispered, "Mom, don't be so fierce. I'll see if you can be less. A piece of meat." Cut the nonsense, what do you want to say? Glancing Qin Yue sideways, Zhang Kaiyu sneered, "Don't do this to me. When you grow so big, I will know what shit you poop as soon as you stick your butt out." With a smile, Qin Yue gently hugged Yu Yiren and said coquettishly, "Mom, when you were the steward, you could give me source power crystals. Now that you have become the mistress, what benefits can you give me? Come on, your daughter can bear it. Even though I am still young, I have a strong ability to bear it. Do you want a man for you?" Qin Yue was stunned. Man. Where did this come from? Where did the city of judgment come from? Something seems wrong, there really is a man in Judgment City. Looking at Zhang Kaiyu who was sneering with a question mark, Qin Yue was so confused. What do you mean? I regard you as my mother, but you want to treat me as a sister? Looking at Qin Yue's eyes, Zhang Kaiyu knew that this little thing must have no good intentions. She raised her hand to hold Qin Yue's ear. Qin Yue grimaced in pain and said, Mom, my biological mother, my ear fell off, it's about to fall, it hurts so much, let go quickly, but I didn't say anything." "You didn't say it, but you said it in your heart, and I heard it." Qin Yue's face immediately wrinkled up, not to mention how thin Duo Lan was. Finally, when Zhang Kaiyu let go of her hand, Qin Yue quickly took 2 steps away, put her hands on her hips, and instantly stood up. The green bamboo snake's mouth and the wasp's tail needle are not poisonous, but they are the most poisonous to a woman's heart. It was so vicious that it almost ripped off my ears. Those who didn't know better thought you were my stepmother. Jonkaiyu was so angry that veins were jumping on her forehead. She glared at Wei and chased after Wei. Little girl, today I will let you know how the stepmother beats the child. What will I show you? It's called Grandma Rong's acupuncture technique. Luo, come after me. If you catch up with me, I will let you hey. Come on, come on. You can't catch up, ha. Wei is very strong now. Each attribute has exceeded 20 points, and she has gone straight to the 30-point mark. The speed is very terrifying. At least Jonkaiyu, who has just gained the metal power, cannot catch up. Wei is sure of this. How dare you be so bold? As for whether you will be beaten in the future, don't worry about it. Let's finish it first. But before she ran far, Wei felt extremely happy and sad. Because she was running backwards, she didn't even look at the road. It was spacious. On the road, I don't know when there was an extra steel plate, and Wei accidentally bumped into it. Ouch! My forehead was almost swollen. At this speed, if it were an ordinary person, she would have died suddenly on the spot. Before Wei could get up, a few metal bars held her firmly, just like the suffering Jesus. Her whole body was restrained, especially because there were dense barbs on the metal bar. It was okay not to move. If she moved, she would definitely be stabbed. Now Wei panicked and looked at Jonkaiyu, who was walking over step by step with a sneer on her face. The cold sweat on Wei's forehead fell instantly. Mom, you listen to me. I won't listen. Wait for death, damn kid. Wei was numb. She was beaten so violently that she almost fell apart. With resentment on her face, Wei looked at her mother beside her. She was very unhappy now. Why? She has close to 4-dimensional attributes. The great guy at 30. How could he be eliminated so easily? This is unfair. Looking at Wei with cold eyes, Wei instantly gave up. He couldn't afford to offend him, he really couldn't afford to offend him. Seeing that Wei was honest, Jonkaiyu shook his head. He shook his head and stopped making trouble with her. He raised his hand and gently stroked her face, wiped the dust off her face, and said softly, although Mom is the mistress now, you can't just leave without thinking about anything shortcut. Mother will never give you this kind of source power crystal again. Eating too much is not a good thing. I know this. Just like in martial arts novels, if you eat too much of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, your foundation will be unstable, right? I understand Wei has no intention of making trouble now, and her little head is thinking. That's not the case. Your foundation is still shallow now and you haven't experienced many battles. Although your strength will increase if you eat too much, your poor combat experience is tantamount to overthrowing your own strength and is not good for you. You can eat this food, but you must do it in moderation. At least until your attribute points reach 40, your mother won't let you eat it. There is no mother who doesn't love her children, and Jonkaiyu is the same. As long as she wants to use the power crystal, it is not a problem at all, but she doesn't want to ruin Wei's future like this. However, although she can't provide you with any substantial help, as long as you work hard, your mother will improve your status, so that you will be closer to the master, and you can enter the arbitration group earlier. Wei nodded obediently. Ever since she said those words, she didn't have much resistance in her heart. Lin Fan is the only man in the entire Judgment City. Do you have a choice? And it's the end of the world, and everyone was playing like this before the end. Yes, the law can't control those who are rich and powerful, let alone now. She is not ready to be a solo person for the rest of her life, but after thinking about it, It seems quite exciting. Looking at Qinya Wei being so obedient, Zhang Kaiyu's worried heart was relieved. She was afraid that Qinya Wei would get into trouble, but fortunately, Qinya Wei's performance made her feel relieved. She turned around and glanced at the female soldiers who had parked their cars behind her and came over, and Zhang Kaiyu patted them. Qinya Wei's shoulder encouraged, "Work hard, honey, don't let mom down." After saying that, Zhang Kaiyu raised her head and shouted to the city gate upstairs, "Captain Li, open the door." Upstairs of the West City Gate, Li Fengjiao was on duty today. After hearing Zhang Kaiyu's instructions, Li Fengjiao injected the energy from her body into the jade talisman of the city gate. As the mark left by Lin Fan was touched, the city gate was slowly opened. At the North City Gate, Lin Fan's figure appeared from the ground. He had just used the plant energy. It was already more than an hour later. Looking at the sun rising higher and higher, Lin Fan shook his hand and a Tang Dao appeared in front of him. In hand. Starting today, he will improve the time ability he obtained yesterday. Time powers are different from space powers. The direct destructive power is not very good. In other words, the killing effect on zombies is not as direct as the space powers. What effect does time acceleration have on zombies? Let zombies age and die? Give me a break. In fact, after much thought, Lin Fan felt that the time power is the hardest ability to upgrade. For humans, the time power is very scary, but for zombies, the effect is not as powerful as imagined. At least whether aging has any effect on it. As far as zombies are concerned, it has no impact at all. After turning into a zombie, even the body of a 70-year-old man can run at the speed of a devil. The power of time attached to the blade. Looking at the zombies swarming in, Lin Fan raised the tang knife in his hand. It seemed to be moving slowly, like a snail, but in fact it was extremely fast. On the wide main road, hundreds of zombies rushed towards them. At this moment, their heads flew into the sky. The headless corpse instantly fell forward, while Lin Fan's figure was advancing slowly. The speed was so slow that the person vomited blood, but it was so fast that it was impossible to see clearly. One person and one knife, facing countless zombies on the main road. After many cleanings, the zombies on the main road are no longer as dense as before. No matter how many zombies there are, it will take time to gather them. No matter how many zombies there are, Lin Fan can't hold them back in one day. Once. Ding. Kill zombies, gain 1 point, time power experience add 1, current experience is 1/100. Ding. Kill zombies, gain 1 point, time power experience add 1, current experience is 100/100. Ding. Your time power experience has reached full value, your current level is LV2, and you need 0/500 experience to advance to the next level. Ding. The time power has been upgraded to level 2, which brings 10 times the experience. It is 10 times more difficult to improve than the ordinary power. Fortunately, Lin Fan is not unable to accept it if he has the space power in front of him. The figure moved forward gradually, seemingly slowly, but in the blink of an eye, it was hundreds of meters away. Wherever it passed, the corpses of all the zombies were separated, and the knife edges were as smooth as a mirror. When these zombies fell to the ground, vines sprouted out of the ground. The corpses of these zombies turned into fly ash in the blink of an eye. After that, the vines disappeared, the earth element energy spread quietly, and the previously broken streets became intact. Lin Fan's figure kept moving forward. There were not many zombies blocking the main road. Lin Fan's figure soon disappeared at the end of the road. Looking at Lin Fan's direction, it was clear that he was going to the north. There was something in the middle of the way. The deviation is gradually towards the northeast. More than 10 kilometers away, Baiwan Business Building. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. In the originally quiet floor, Dense gunshots kept echoing. In the corridor, more than a dozen men in police uniforms with anti-riot shields in their hands kept firing. In front of these people, a bloody man appeared. The zombie cats kept running wildly, dodging bullets every time. It was difficult for these men to hit them. The power of a pistol is indeed terrifying, but a pistol is a dead object after all. If you want to exert its power, it depends on the person who uses it. The zombie cats kept running away. In the rooms on both sides of the corridor, the survivors were hiding in their rooms and shivering, not daring to go out at all. He kept running wildly, chasing the zombie cats all the way. Seeing the zombie cats rushing into the stairs, the men swarmed in to chase them. Wu Yan gave a death order and must kill all the zombie cats. Cats are very vindictive creatures, especially after being infected by the zombie virus. No one expected that the zombie cat's revenge would be so terrifying. Just the next day, the zombie cat made a comeback, and not only that, but also brought many. There are dozens of zombie cats. What a nightmare! More than a dozen men rushed into the stairwell. As soon as the first man rushed in, a black shadow rushed up. The leading man couldn't react at all. All he could see was the cat's claws that were getting bigger. Tisk! There was a muffled sound and blood and flesh flew everywhere, followed closely by the man's shrill scream. Ah! It hurts. It hurts me to death. You, what are you doing? Don't shoot me. Boom. One shot killed the man who was scratched by the zombie cat on the ground. The man who fired the gun endured the fear in his heart and looked at the corner of the stairs with angry eyes. There, a black zombie cat was looking at him with dead gray eyes. This way. He raised his hand and pulled the trigger at the black zombie cat at the corner of the stairs. The gunfire echoed and the black zombie cat ran away instantly. Chase. If we don't kill these zombie cats, we will all be killed sooner or later. These damn zombie cats are teasing us like mice. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 220. Chapter 220, You woman has no martial ethics, how can you sneak attack? In a luxurious office on the 32nd floor of Baiwan Business Building, two brothers, Wu Zhan and Wu Yan, were sitting on the sofa, their faces indescribably solemn. The zombie cat is back with a vengeance. Although they have done their best to be vigilant, the two brothers have ignored some problems. Some very important questions. First of all, the number of zombie cats is no longer one, but dozens. The other is the most fatal problem. I made up my mind last night to tear off this disguise today and rule the survivors with my true identity. There is nothing wrong with this, but the mistake is that, except for a few people standing guard on the first floor, everyone go and rest. It is because of this major mistake that we have such a serious crisis today. The result of the power outage is that everyone's mobile phone battery is low. The most important thing is that the signal is cut off. The surrounding base stations have no power supply and lose all their functions. In addition, the walkie-talkie environment is also severely restricted. In some open places, walkie-talkies can communicate several kilometers apart, but where is this place? Baiwan Business Building. In terms of sound insulation, signal, etc., they are all done very well. They are separated by more than 10 floors, and the radio intercom is just a decoration. Various factors led to the rampage of zombie cats in Baiwan Business Building. If it had not been discovered early and the situation was under control, no one knows how many people would have been infected. The office door of Baiwan Business Building was not made of iron. The zombie cats dug out big holes when they clawed at them wildly, scratching and biting everyone in the room to death. All of them turned into zombies. What the two brothers were most worried about has happened. Baiwan Business Building is no longer safe. Zombie cats and zombies are raging on the ground floor. Bad news keeps coming one after another. It's surprising that the two brothers' expressions are so good. Brother, what should we do? Those damn zombie cats are too flexible and cunning. These ghosts are different from zombies. They also have simple intelligence and instinct. Many brothers have been tricked to death by these zombie cats. Wu Yan's eyes were full of murderous intent and irritability. The severe situation made him emotionally unstable. It would be fine if the enemy was too strong, but the enemy was a group of cats. How could he endure it? What? Wu Yan said the brothers do not refer to the brothers in the mercenary team, but some people who were later received under their command. Even if these people are not valued by the two brothers, if they die too many, it will be a big blow to their power. Wu Zhan was in a bad mood. Being teased like this by a group of zombie cats would not make anyone feel good. Taking a deep breath, Wu Zhan got up from the sofa and said in a deep voice, "Call our brothers and go kill those bastards, kill them all." In Wu Zhan's heart, only the members of the team are the real core. It doesn't matter how many other people die, but it is simply a shame to be restrained by a group of zombie cats. After hearing Wu Zhan's words, Wu Yan tightened and he stood up and took out his pistol, with a murderous look on his face. The two brothers walked out of the room. More than 10 burly men outside the door had been waiting for a long time. When they saw the two brothers coming out, they all shouted, "Captain, Vice Captain." Wu Zhan nodded, pulled the pistol and loaded the bullet, and said coldly, "Go ahead and kill all the zombies and zombie cats in the Baiwan business building. No one will be left alive." With an order, more than a dozen people were dispatched at the same time and rushed downstairs quickly. These people have been trained for a long time and have extremely strong physical fitness. After running more than 10 floors, not even a few people had unstable breaths. They grabbed a person casually. The man in police uniform inquired, and Wu Zhan got the information he wanted. All zombie cats are now below the 13th floor. After receiving this news, Wu Zhan led his people straight to the 13th floor. They just reached the 13th floor. Before he could pass through the stair door, a black shadow rushed in from the corridor. Wu Zhan's pupils shrank. He instantly raised the muzzle of the gun and pulled the trigger with his finger. Bang! There was a gunshot and the bullet burst out of the chamber. The head of the zombie cat flying in the air was blown off, and the body was taken away directly and hit the wall. The more than 10 people behind Wu Zhan reacted a little slower, and only then aimed their guns. The sound of dense footsteps came from the corridor. Came from over there, followed by a group of people appearing. "Big brother! Big brother!" More than a dozen people were a little nervous at first, but they were relieved when they saw Wu Zhan and others. Wu Zhan's cold eyes swept over these people, and his voice was cold. "You go and ask the people above to come down, and I will clean up a floor. You just occupy a floor and check whether the people in the room have turned into zombies." After saying that, Wu Zhan did not wait for a group of people to respond, and walked quickly downstairs with Wu Yan and others. More than a dozen people did not dare to disobey Wu Zhan's order, and hurriedly split up. A few people went upstairs to inform, and a few personally. He followed Wu Zhan and his group. As Wu Zhan came down, there were constant gunshots in the 100 Yuan business building. Wu Zhan was powerful, experienced in combat, and had extremely powerful nerve reflexes. Zombie cats continued to die tragically. In the hands of Wu Zhan and many mercenaries, at the same time, many people upstairs also followed Wu Zhan's instructions and began to clean up the zombies on the floor. On the south side of Baiwan business building, zombie cats were running wildly on the street. In front of these zombie cats, 2 figures kept running. They were concubine Hu Yu and Chu Hanyan, who had escaped. Without stopping, Chu Hanyan felt that his chest was about to explode, and it hurt so much that he couldn't breathe. "It's all a pain. Concubine Hu Yu's situation is much better. As a killer, she is much better than Chu Hanyan in all aspects such as physical fitness. The reason why she runs behind Chu Hanyan is to prevent Chu Hanyan. She was caught up by the zombie cat behind her. Chu Hanyan staggered and almost fell to the ground, unable to breathe. But even if she didn't fall, she couldn't run anymore. After running for most of the night, hiding here and there, the only reason she has persisted until now is because of her desire to survive, but this energy is not unlimited. She is a robot and cannot stop at all. I can't run anymore. I really can't run anymore. Concubine, please leave me alone and go on your own. Holding the wall with one hand, Chu Hanyan's face was pale, and the expression on his face was quite painful. No matter how hard it was to breathe, the pain in his mouth would not be better. Concubine Hu Yu stopped, turned around and ran quickly. The four zombie cats that came forward anxiously took hold of Chu Hanyan's arm and said, "Hold on a little longer." With a pale face, Chu Hanyan looked up at Concubine Hu Yu and said with difficulty, "Concubine, please leave me alone and go alone. I know you can escape by yourself. Didn't you come to kidnap me before? What do you care about me now?" Concubine Hu Yu had already thrown away the false mask on her face at this time, revealing her true appearance. She had long dark golden hair, delicate facial features on her face, beautiful eyes, and an X-shaped scar on her smooth forehead, but this does not detract from her charm at all, and even goes with her apparently mixed-race face that looks a bit enchanting. It is full of wild charm. This is a woman as wild as a cheetah. If I wanted to leave you, there was no need to bring you out in the first place. How could I survive alone in the end of the world? Concubine Hu Yu said in a bad tone, took Chu Hanyan's arm, put her on her shoulders and left. I can indeed survive, but that would be too torturous. Loneliness can make a person go crazy, and if there is only one person, the spirit will be tense all the time. No matter how strong a person is, he will not be able to survive for long. Being carried forward by Concubine Hu Yu, Chu Hanyan gritted his teeth and pushed her away. With her confused eyes, he leaned against the wall. Don't run away. Either we kill these zombie cats here, or we are killed by them. If you keep running, you will be dragged down. It's dawn now. It's not that you can't give it a try. Don't forget, we get tired, but zombie cats don't. Concubine Hu Yu looked at the four zombie cats chasing behind her, took a deep breath, and gave up running for her life. Chu Hanyan was right, where can they run? Zombie cats won't get tired, what about them? They are people. Living people will get tired. Instead of being dragged down alive, it is better to fight to the death and fight these zombie cats. With her strength, she will not definitely lose. The bullet is loaded, and Hu Yu Fei watches vigilantly. The zombie cats running in front seem to be aware of the danger. The four zombie cats stopped approaching and squatted down 10 meters away. Hu Yu Fei glanced around and finally stopped on a baseball bat. She was lucky. Not bad. After walking a few steps and holding the baseball bat in his hand, seeing Hu Yu Fei's action, several zombie cats slowly approached a few steps, but did not pounce on them rashly. This is for you to defend yourself. You only need to hold down a zombie cat. Give me 5 minutes, no. 3 minutes, give me 3 minutes and I will come to help you. Throwing the baseball bat to Chu Hanyan raised his hand to catch it, nodded, looked at the zombie cat more than 10 meters away, and nodded with difficulty. She didn't know if she could hold on for 5 minutes, or even 3 minutes, the speed of the zombie cat is really too fast. Remember, there is no absolute certainty, don't take action casually, don't give the zombie cat an opportunity, you must be quick, accurate, and ruthless. Concubine Hu Yu looked at Chu Hanyan and warned. Before Chu Hanyan could agree, Concubine Hu Yu suddenly turned around, raised her arm, and quickly pulled the trigger. Bang! At a distance of more than 10 meters, the zombie cat couldn't even. There was no time to react, and the head of the static zombie cat on the far left exploded. No matter how fast the zombie cat reacted, it was not as fast as a bullet, especially since concubine Hu Yu had planned a sneak attack. Bang! There was another gunshot, and the second the bullets shot out, but unfortunately, the zombie cat had already jumped away and failed to complete the one-hit kill. Although the kill was not completed, the bullet hit the zombie cat's groin, and the zombie cat was already crippled. But despite this, the threat level is still not low. Zombie cats don't know what pain is, so even though they are a little lame, their aggressiveness is still the same. At most, the speed is slower. 2 bullets, 1 dead and 1 injured. For such a record, concubine Hu Yu could only say so. Her ideal result was for 2 zombie cats to be killed. She didn't think about the third one at all. That was simply impossible. The zombie cat's reaction speed was too fast. 3 of them were eliminated at once. That's unrealistic. Looking at the 3 zombie cats walking around vigilantly in front of her, a cold light flashed in Hu Yu's eyes, and she whispered, "Leave the 2 intact ones to me. You just need to drag the lame one, just stay and use it, no problem." Chu Hanyan clenched the baseball bat in his hand and said solemnly, "I'll try my best." "Just try your best. Wait for me 3 minutes."